as a Cardinal coming to an end.
That's certainly what that looks like.
Yeah, trade deadline time. It's hug watch time in the dugouts.
I don't know what the next week's going to hold, but it's a great clubhouse, and I've really enjoyed my time so far.
We saw a lot of emotion expressed, hugging and everything. Is that because they realize that could be your last?
Yeah, just a possibility. You never know. But it was good to be able to share the emotions with you guys. Yeah, like I said, I've loved this group of guys. They're a fantastic bunch. They love to fight, and it's a really, really fun group to be a part of.
Audio courtesy of Cardinals TV. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Cardinals get a win last night.
Yeah.
Atta baby. As they do when Dustin May is on the mound.
Totally didn't turn it off after they went down 2-0. Totally didn't say this game was over.
Understandable if you did. Let's focus first on Dustin May, because I thought that was the biggest story in last night's game. We'll get into the win, like what it all means, the PCA of it all coming up here in just a little bit. But Alex, 5 innings, 1 hit, no earned, tie ball game, only 70 pitches. He leaves the game, gets all the hugs down in the dugout. I've always said on this show, listen to their actions, not their words. The Cardinals told you with their actions last night what the plan is with Dustin May. He's going to be traded, or at least the expectation was as of 12 hours ago, he will be traded at some point in the next 3 to 4 days. And they made that very clear based upon the way that they utilized him yesterday. If that wasn't the expectation, that guy continues to pitch into the 6th inning. He goes out there for the 6th and maybe even the 7th, especially given how fried the bullpen has been in recent days and how well he was pitching, and the fact that it was a, let's go, 0-0 ball game yesterday.
Wrong sport,
against the
dude.
Chicago Cubs.
God, you misrepresent soccer when we talk about it. Unbelievable.
What did you make of the way that they utilized Dustin May last night and how well he pitched, Alex?
He gone. When he came out of that ball game, I'm like, what am I missing? And then reality sets in. Oh, they're making sure that, 1, he goes out on top looking as good as he does against that lineup for the Cubs, giving up 1 hit and 3 strikeouts, and 2, making sure he's healthy. Because who knows what happens if you go another inning or 2 innings. In a normal situation a month ago, Dustin May is going back out there to go as deep as he can because of that bullpen. But because he came out when he did with 5 innings and 70 pitches, and then also like them utilizing that bullpen to where, what did you see, a total of 5 guys in that bullpen? Where I think they've been trying to use as little of those pieces as possible for how torn up they've been. That told me Dustin May is going to get traded. The Cardinals wanted to put him in the best position possible. They did. He delivered. And now the Cardinals go about this saying, all right, now business is open. Let's see who wants Dustin May.
Yeah, I mean, I would be shocked if he makes his next start as a St. Louis Cardinal. I mean, everything is pointing towards that, to where you had Ali Marmol making sure the media knew, hey, by the way, Dobbins was sent down, but he can be recalled if someone gets traded. I'll let you do with that what you will. And then they pulled Dustin May after 5 innings and 70 pitches.
Do with that what you will.
Yeah, this guy, they are hoping to shop him. And look, the ERA, pretty good, 4.38. You look at the underlying numbers like his FIP this season, yeah, he's been a solid starter. I had some questions at first about, okay, what could they get for him? And it still probably won't be anything significant, but they're going to get something for him, right? They're going to get a couple probably like mid-tier prospects in somebody's system. That's worth trading away if you're the St. Louis Cardinals, and you got that on a 1-year pillow deal. Yeah, that's a huge win for St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what the plan was. If you had told me going into opening day, hey, in his final, 15 starts with the Cardinals, Dustin May is going to have a mid-3s ERA. He's going to very clearly be the best starter over that stretch of time in the Cardinals rotation. And the only thing that's really going to set him back is twofold. 1, he went a complete game 1-hitter, and his body didn't quite respond after that. And 2, he's going to get hit off of the ankle with a baseball. But other than that, he's going to be awesome for the Cardinals. They're going to trade him at the deadline, and he's going to be one of the 5-ish best rental starters available at the trade deadline. Would you sign up for that today? Of course. All of us would have signed up for that in a heartbeat on opening day. It does feel a little different now because of the way that the team has performed this year. and because of the ups and downs at times with Dustin May. And frankly, I would be cool with him being back next season. Like, I don't feel the same urgency as it appears the Cardinals do to move on from him. And maybe that's because I'm not privy to the offers that are being sent their way. And maybe they're just better offers than what I'm anticipating. And they can get a guy that's going to slot in as a top 10 prospect for them, and they want to avoid the 2 to 3 years of development that has to take place when you draft a guy in the mid-30s, as opposed to getting him already in your system, let's say ready-made at AA, for example. I get that. That makes some sense to me if they're able to get a prospect of that pedigree to come in return for Dustin May. But if you had told me to play the game again of, like, hit the button, would you be willing to offer him the qualifying offer this offseason, even if it means he's back? I would be. I'm comfortable with that. And a 1-year, $23 million deal with Dustin May, where either I'm in the same situation this time next year for him to potentially be dealt at the deadline, or he becomes a guy that is just a really good starter for you next year and helps you make the postseason, or you re-sign him even at that point. I'm comfortable with any of those options. So this is best case scenario for them. They got the best of both worlds. But I don't feel the same sense of urgency that it seems like the Cardinals do to move him.
I do a little bit. And everything you said is where I fall into this. Like, I'm fine with it. If they give him the qualifying offer, I'm fine if they bring him back for 1 year, because I'll treat next year the same way I treated this year. It's 1 year. Let's see what Dustin May can do and what can you get in return at the deadline. Like, he doesn't play into my long-term future. But I also think if I'm the Cardinals, the main goal of why I signed him was to get the best return possible at the trade deadline. Now, again, we know what you're measuring that up against, the qualifying offer, the comp pick that you're going to get in return. Can the Cardinals get that? I guess that's going to come down to who realistically is available at this year's deadline and how expensive are people asking for some of the pitchers that are better than Dustin May. But it's not a sense of urgency, like I have to get rid of this guy, but it's a sense of, I feel like to do my job correctly, I see what I can get for him. And if I can get something that betters my future, I'm going to pull the trigger on that, regardless if I like Dustin May with this team, because I think that's the whole point of this first season you're in. You're still in asset accumulation mode. I know I sound like a broken record saying it, but that's where you're at. And
so are the Cardinals, so you're...
Yeah, but like with Dustin May, and then honestly, like the rotation of the bullpen last night, every guy that came out of it except Luis Gastelum was like, hey, he's auditioning. Hey, he's auditioning. Like...
a showcase game.
That's what.
How about Justin Brule, by the way? Good for him.
Woo! We're gonna get something for
ready to
him.
eat that crow?
No, but
He's been good.
Sure. I
Flat
tried to,
out good.
Hold on. First off, I've already admitted eating that crow. I tried to put him in the last circle of trust in
That's
our bullpen.
true. You did.
And everybody else said no.
We both vetoed it.
Amazing.
That's wild.
He's in my circle of trust now. I trust that
That's
guy.
good
I'm with
because
you.
he's going to get traded. And like the Cardinals,
Great. You can take his shirt with
they
him.
had their 5 pitchers that you saw last night before Gastelum, all could get traded. And that's what they should do.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you there. I'm fascinated to see about Dustin May because I don't know that they have operated with a sense of urgency. I think they had to pull him out of caution last night at 70 pitches in 5 innings. I think you had to be careful because you don't want him getting hurt before you go into the deadline. And I do think they're probably going to hold to the standard of, hey, you got to beat what we value the qualifying offer at. Now, maybe they won't do that. I would be shocked if they don't because I'm with you, BK. Watching him pitch, though I've gone kind of back and forth on it, I think I've settled in as I have to basically at this point, knowing that he's not getting another start prior to the deadline. I would QO him in the offseason. Now, I would have a little bit of a fear the QO doesn't exist by the time we get done with the next labor negotiation, but I would still operate under the premise of
when you start the offseason, it will.
It will. But I don't know how that all is going to land by the time we get to the...
You won't have a draft to utilize that on when the season doesn't happen.
No, I'm more afraid of... Not afraid, but I could see a scenario where the PA will negotiate out the QO and get rid of it even
But that wouldn't matter for... I don't think they can because it will happen beforehand. Like the last time that we had this, you referenced at 22-23, they did have the qualifying offers before that CBA negotiation, and the guys that were tendered with it, a lot of them signed it. You know, so like I think that will exist for this offseason. It very well may be the last one, but it will exist this offseason for Dustin May because just based upon the order of operations, that will happen before the CBA actually expires. So that is something that will at least be out there for the Cardinals this year.
if the PA doesn't negotiate it out. I mean, they may negotiate it out and say, end of line, it's gone completely.
But
Even
I
for
don't
this
think
year,
they can.
I don't know.
I don't think that is something that is under negotiation because those contracts will be tendered prior to the start of those negotiations. My understanding is the qualifying offer will exist this offseason. And then from there, we'll see what happens. But in talking with Derek off of the air, like his understanding is that there will be qualifying offers this year.
And I would hold him to that value slot then, right? I mean, that's where you've got to try and beat it, because if not, then it's fine to keep him back here, right? Because I think he would accept a QO if you attach it to him. Is it a little bit of an overpay? Sure. I think it is a little bit of an overpay for Dustin May if he accepts it at whatever that dollar figure will be, probably 20 to 24 million, somewhere in that range. Okay, well, it's not like you're hemorrhaging money, right? You have no contracts on your books. It's okay to overpay for one guy.
And we should do a quick reset on what we're talking about here with the qualifying offer and why it matters for Dustin May. For anybody that is unfamiliar with the way that this works, Cardinals haven't really done a whole lot of this in recent seasons. If you have a pending free agent that has not previously been tendered the qualifying offer in the offseason, you can start out your offseason basically by saying, hey, we would like to tender this to this player. And with Dustin May specifically, it's a little convoluted, but the way it works, he's got a mutual option in his contract. If he thinks he's going to get tendered the qualifying offer, or because he had a good year, he thinks he can get a good contract, he will decline his side at a minimum of that mutual option. I would expect that to be the case going into this offseason. When that happens, that's gone. His current contract is removed. Pretend as if it never existed. Then you get to the qualifying offer decision for the Cardinals. They get to say, we're tendering this player with the qualifying offer. That means, I would assume, it's like a $24 million contract, most likely this offseason. He then gets to decide, do I take the 1 year, $24 million contract, or do I decline it and press my luck in an offseason with a CBA negotiation taking place as the backdrop and hope that I can get a big-time contract elsewhere multiple years? My guess is he would accept it this offseason to lock it in. I've got $23 million coming my way, $24 million coming my way. If he didn't, if he decided to reject it, if he signs for, I think it's like $50+ million, the Cardinals would potentially get a second-round comp pick in return when he signs with that other team, and that would be for next year's class. So that's what you're operating under. That's the backdrop to these decisions, is the possibility of either having him back next year on a 1-year deal or him declining it, going elsewhere, and you get a second-round pick for his services. So that's what they're negotiating against. That's why there is more to this decision than just, yes, send him away, it's over, go ahead and move on for whatever it is that you can get. It's kind of similar to the Jack Flaherty conversation from a few years ago. But Flaherty wasn't pitching well, so that's where the fork in the road comes in. And I'd be much more open to May coming back than Flaherty, personally. But I get it. I understand what they're trying to do here, and if they can get a good return, God bless. And he had a great season for the Cardinals. I enjoyed watching him. Like, it was a really great experience.
Yeah.
When he was on the mound, I had fun watching.
Well, he gave us the two closest potential no-hitters this season for the Cardinals.
And he threw a complete game.
Yeah.
And you know that pulls
That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen very often.
He had never done it.
Yeah.
You know, like, he had one of the best years. You could make an argument this was the best year of his major league career in terms of start to finish, or at least where we're at today.
Well, it's the one season he actually finished of his career.
Yeah. He had one season in 2020, the COVID year, where he had 10 starts that season, 56 innings, and a 2.5 ERA. That's better, technically, by the quality of the innings. But this year, he's thrown 109. That year, he threw 56.
Yeah.
And that's always been the question with him is, can he sustain this for the full season? And for the Cardinals, he has. So, you can make a pretty strong argument. This is the best year of his major league career, and it's happening 7 years in. Kudos to the Cardinals for getting that out of him, and kudos to him for making good on his opportunity here. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes, are the Blues really going to enter the season without a captain? That seems to be the latest reporting. We'll talk about it in just a little bit. Want to hear from you, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. You can check us out on YouTube, as always, at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. Coming up next, boy, do I like watching PCA. And last night, what a moment for him. At least one person in Chicago, though, didn't like it as much as I did. We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
PCA makes it a 2-0 Cub lead.
He is enjoying this trip around the bases. It's been pretty quiet for Pete in this series. The guys out in the tarps off section giving him the business.
That's what it sounded like on the Cubs TV network with Alex and T-Bone. I'm BK. I loved it. I got to tell you, I enjoyed it.
Of course you did, you jerk.
I thought it was awesome. That was an incredible bat flip. I don't even know if I can call it a bat flip. It was a bat drop.
Yeah, that wasn't a bat flip.
It's like a mic drop moment from PCA.
I thought
Did you guys like it?
Yeah, I loved any type of energy like that. It wasn't a bat flip. It wasn't like Jose Bautista bat flip. Like, I thought he dropped it. Like, I thought he legit couldn't hold on to it. And then, of course, the home run was gone. And I was like, oh, that's what he's doing. But, yeah, I mean, it's a rivalry, man. I want guys to pump it a little bit. I want them to peacock and flop their feathers around so that they know. Yeah, see? Just like we do on Believe It or Not, which will be coming at you later today. Like, that's the point of rivalries. It's why you hate other teams, because they've got guys like that.
Yeah, I loved it, and I hate PCA, yet I love him at the same time. It's kind of a weird love-hate relationship, because you're right. I mean, to have a rivalry, you got to have a villain.
Yeah, I don't have any love for him. I think he's annoying, but I love that because it's the rivalry.
Would you love him if he was on your team?
No, I think he'd be annoying.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, really? I think he'd be like, I'm trying to think, like Brad Marchand, right? Hate him, then he's on your team. You're like, man, I kind of like this guy.
Or, honestly, Pat Maroon, David Perron. Perron is the perfect example of this.
Yeah,
he is super annoying and an agitator
like,
if he's not on your team, and then he gets on your team, you're like, hot damn, I love that guy. He's so hard to play against.
I don't know. It's different, though, because I feel like those guys are doing it to stir Ish up on the other side. I feel like Pete Crow Armstrong's doing it to, flaunt his own stuff because he thinks
the difference?
Because I don't think Marchand's doing it because he thinks his Ish don't stink.
You don't?
No, I think he's doing it because he's trying to get under the other guy's skin.
Can't both be true?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think sometimes you do it because you just think you're awesome.
I think there's definitely some truth to that. I do think Pete Crow Armstrong has a pretty inflated sense of self, and wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't blame him, but
the guy is maybe the best defender in baseball and has a 920 OPS this year and has been worth 12 wins over the last 2 seasons.
I'm not arguing with any of what you said.
Sometimes credit where it's due.
You can also be annoying as hell, though. And that's kind of where he falls into it. Because like Brad Marchand, I absolutely feel like, I'd love to have that guy. But I love to have that guy because he gets under the other team's skin. I don't know how much I like it but again, if you're great, flaunt it.
I think this would hold true for Marchand as well. I think he would be frustrating if he's doing this, but he wasn't producing, right? Like if he was doing this, and I think it was the beginning of the year, or in the second half. I think the second half of last year is a great example. PCA sucked in the second half of last year.
Correct.
Yeah, guess what? He still was doing the same stuff, right? He would pimp a home run. He would get the frustration, slam his bat when he was up at the plate, and I could see how that would be annoying. Same with Marchand, or I don't know, maybe a guy named Jordan Bennington when he's doing his antics and isn't performing.
That's really
annoying.
Good one.
Wasn't it?
That's a really good one. Yeah.
That's why, I would say, yeah, I could see how it would be annoying. But that also was
annoying for me, too, at times, to where it's like, dude, just stop.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm looking at myself in the mirror right now because I found that highly annoying, and that was on the team that I root for. Yeah. So, that is a fair one.
And that's where, I would say this. I would love to have PCA on the Cardinals because, I love the swagger. One, I love the style of play. I also know I would be booing him if he was not producing and doing the same stuff. Sure. So, I think you have to be willing to take both of those. But I think you need a little bit of that, and you really need that in a rivalry. So I'm all in on the hate PCA while also loving PCA train.
So Trevor Condon, the guy that the Cardinals drafted in the first round this year, the comparison that a lot of people have made is to PCA. I want that so badly.
I'm in.
Do you want the flaunting or do you want the production?
Yes.
I would say I think I want the production. If the flaunting comes with the production, awesome. But you can't be the flaunter unless you got the production to back it up.
Now, I don't think he's going to be this. PCA has been one of the best players in baseball over the last 2 years.
Don't flaunt. Don't pimp home runs if you're not going to be this.
Can he be 70% of what PCA has been? Be a great defender out there, hit for a little bit of power, get on base at a good clip, bring this energy, all of that stuff. Can you be production-wise what J.J. Weatherholt has been this year and energy-wise what PCA brings to the table? If you can be that, that's a really good player and a really fun player. And I think he would be a lot of young fans' favorite player on the team immediately, right? That brings some of what I've talked about with Mason Wynn, but even a little bit more energy to the table. I think one thing they're missing a little bit this year is a guy like that. Like Wilson Contreras brought that fire and brimstone to the field every day. Mm-hmm. I loved it. And I do think they're missing a little bit of that this year. Just a guy that is a pain in the ass to play against. And they've got some really good baseball players, don't get me wrong. And it would be annoying to pitch to J.J. Weatherholt. It would be annoying to pitch at times to Alec Burleson because he's a bad ball hitter where, like, I can throw a ball 6 inches outside of the zone and that guy's going to hit it to the wall. But I don't know that they have anybody that you look at, you're like, that guy's a menace. Yeah. He is so annoying to play against. And that to me is what Pete Crow Armstrong represents. I'm with you guys. He is such a great player for this rivalry. Contreras was that at times in a different way. Like Ian Happ has the production that is annoying in this rivalry, but not necessarily the flair to go along with it. Yeah. I love it when there is this kind of a person that personifies what the rivalry is all about. There's at least one person who doesn't feel that way, though, Alex.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm not talking about anybody here in St. Louis. Here's 670 the score up in Chicago earlier today.
How in the world would it be PCA's fault that they lost that game after he hit the home run to put them ahead?
Poking the bear.
Oh, gosh.
The sportsmanship gods frowned on that. There's bat flips, and then there's what he did. Okay, that was way over the top for the situation. That didn't win them the game. If that had won them the game, fine. If that's what you want to do. But I'm a big believer
You're that guy
in
today.
Act like you've
You're
been
that
there
guy
before.
today.
Yeah, I am. They woke the Cardinals up.
Shush.
Let's hope they didn't.
They woke the Cardinals up.
I would punch you in your face if you shushed me.
Way over the top.
I'll turn his mic off.
PCA hit a home run.
The facts are that
and he had been hearing and getting.
Not the story today.
In that building, Tarps Off crew were on him all series long. There aren't very many people there in St. Louis at these games these days. So you hear those guys. And if I'm PCA, I'm hearing it all series long. That was a great moment, I think, in that Cub Cardinals series.
Can't call us. You can't say we're losers. You can only say we're losers. No!
Come on.
Hey, we're back above 500.
Yeah, we won that game.
Not above 500.
No, you're at 500. Still losers, man.
No, not losers either. Just right at.
Yeah.
Just even.
What are you?
We're average.
Yeah. We are average. We are. Oh, I thought we were doing 3. No, okay, sorry. My bad.
You don't double chant we are average. Only winners double chant. Or losers, I guess.
I just. Can you imagine if I shushed you?
If you ever shushed me, I would have to leave the show or cause violence. Yeah. Don't ever shush me. I'm not a damn dog fighting.
Me and Alex.
We'll call it Superstar versus Half a Star.
Fight!
T-Bone doesn't know that.
No,
reference,
he doesn't. Unbelievable, man.
It was. Thanks.
You made a reference?
Yeah, I did, man.
What'd you make?
It's from The Longest Yard.
Have you seen that yet?
No.
Yeah, it's been out for like 10 years, man.
I know. I just wasn't sure if he did his homework.
No.
Of
course. Show prep.
Not an Nelly fan.
What do you? Time out. What?
Well, he is from Olney, so.
Yeah.
Who's the big rapper in Olney?
I mean, it's a St. Louis native.
Okay.
When you say you're not a fan of Nelly, what do you mean?
Like I don't listen to his music. I don't care. He can do his thing. I don't listen to his music.
What in the?
I'm not going to seek it out.
I feel like you are like contractually obligated to like.
You work in
this market.
Let me say this too, St. Louis. I hate gooey butter cake. Now deal with it.
Gooey butter cake's overrated. It's fine.
Okay. Whoa.
It's fine.
Easy, guys. Best rapper
St. Louis
from
style pizza is terrible.
Only, that's wrong. That's wrong. All right, that's where we draw the line.
But don't say that about Nelly.
There are no nationally recognized or mainstream rappers from Olney, Illinois, as the small Richland County city is not known for its prominent commercial hip-hop scene. Go back to your hip-hop scene.
White squirrels or flying squirrels?
Just white squirrels.
You hate country music.
I don't think they fly.
Outside of the white squirrels, does Olney have any other claim to fame? Is there like a notorious
we have a
person?
lake.
Is there like a person that's come from there?
Yeah, T-Bone.
No, that's not it.
No, actually, probably. I think there used to be like a Cardinal player that was from there.
Rock
but
Hudson,
he was a backup
famous
catcher.
Hollywood actor, Elaine Shepard, and politician Terry L. Bruce.
You want to talk about him?
Rock Hudson was an iconic 50s and 60s leading man who lived in Olney during part of his childhood.
Now, Flora, I think it's Flora has someone that's more famous.
Oh, by the way, City is well known not for white squirrels, for albino gray squirrels.
Dude, you've been selling us the wrong information this whole time.
All this time.
Look.
Wow.
That doesn't fit on a billboard. That doesn't fit on a billboard.
They don't even
are white
represent what they're
squirrels.
famous for accurately.
Oh,
Glenn Brummer. Why does that name sound familiar?
Albino gray squirrels is actually what it is.
Holy hell, Glenn Brummer is from the Cardinals. He played with them in '83.
Of course he did.
I told you there was a former Cardinal that
He's
was
only
from
had
our
one
hometown.
home run in his MLB career.
Well,
And checks out.
it's most out of people.
At least
from
he could hit a fastball, right, T-Bone?
I could touch a fastball. Not hit a home
I
run,
can't
though.
believe we just had a Nelly segment. where
One
you
of
said
their
not a
most
fan of the Nelly.
famous and notable people from Olney, Illinois is a hotel manager who died in 1948. Man, God bless.
Jesus, man.
Hey, they did have a shortstop for the Phillies that was born in Olney, Illinois as well.
Should we update the Wikipedia page from
Born in
Olney?
1914.
Should we put
wow,
T-Bone's
you have
name?
3 former Major League players.
We've also got a couple guys that have played in the majors from our community college.
Stan Royer played in the major leagues, including for
Remember-
the St. Louis Cardinals for 3 years.
I'm gonna
Clint
update
Barmes
Wikipedia
at all?
now.
Clint Barmes does anything for you? He played at Olney Community College.
I'm going to update the Wikipedia page from Olney, Illinois, and put Tanner Hendrickson on there
Thank
right
you.
now.
Thank you.
One of their most famous things from Olney is the Olney Gazette, a weekly newspaper that was founded 10 years ago.
You know what's shocking? There used to be 2 newspapers in Olney
That
when
is
I was growing
very
up.
shocking.
All right. If you Google Olney a good place to live, it says it's quiet and affordable. It's literally all it says.
That's true.
Oh, that sounds good.
And there's a lake there. You can go laking.
They've got a
go float.
and a soda
go
shop.
laking.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never heard somebody say go laking.
Go floating, whatever you want to use. Don't you?
Brummer, by the way, famously stole home.
I know.
For the St. Louis Cardinals. All right, coming up in 15 minutes,
this segment.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. But next, are the Blues really going to go into the year without a captain? Local report seems to suggest that is exactly the case. We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals took down the Cubs last night 3-2. Game 4, the 4-game set later on this afternoon. 1:15 will be first pitch. Javier Assad will get the start for Chicago. Andre Palante gets the start for St. Louis. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
This was a little surprising to see on the Twitter timeline yesterday, Alex.
Oh, the old Twitter sphere.
Yeah, saw this. Somebody aggregating from a local podcast. According to Andy Strickland on the Cam and Strick pod, the Blues will, quote, probably not have a captain this season, end quote.
Okay, probably not.
How does that hit your ears?
I mean, look, Strickland is connected, so when he says it, it makes my ears go up because it's like, really? The more I think about it, I don't buy it. And he might be absolutely correct, and I could be proven wrong once the season begins.
Sure, it's not you questioning his reporting so much as I
don't buy it.
Things change, and
yeah, every time that they've done this, which doesn't happen very often, like if you think back, the Blues don't go through seasons without captains. Like in their history, they always have captains. They value the letter, the leadership that it provides, and the history behind it. And I don't believe that Alexander Steen is going to look at this group, a guy who has been around that legacy for 20-plus years, has seen the amount of captains that have been for this team. I just don't buy that they're going to say, you know what, we're going to let this season go on without somebody being the leader. I think it's clear and obvious who the leader is. They're not moving on from Robert Thomas. He's talked about wanting to take that role. He's the guy you're banking on for this team to be successful. I don't know why you're delaying the inevitable of saying, yeah, Robert Thomas is our captain.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I would be shocked if Steen doesn't name a captain because that was kind of the main focal point of his conversation in his introductory press conference. Not so much the captain, but the building the culture back up and getting back to what the St. Louis Blues were.
Yeah.
They had a captain then, right? And I think that he really values that position still. I think if Army was in charge still, I could see a scenario where that doesn't happen, right? I think Army was a little hesitant to name a captain.
He said it last year and he still did it.
Yeah, but I think Army was a little more hesitant of naming a captain like before they even did the Braden Chen one. And then Berube was the one that said, hey, we need a captain, and then he went with it. But I think Steen's going to do it. I think they're going to name a captain. I think it's going to be Robert Thomas. And I agree with what JR said to us on, what was that, Tuesday? Of you really think Thomas had a meeting with Steen and it didn't get brought up, and then even if it was brought up, Steen's like, yeah, no, we're not going to name a captain this year. No, that would shock me.
I also look at the way that Thomas has approached the last 5 months, I guess.
I'd say really since the deadline.
It's been different.
Yeah. He's been a different player since that trade deadline news broke and then the deadline ended. He's been a different player.
And it's not just on the ice. It's off the ice, right? He's made himself more approachable. He's been more open and honest. And, man, I know that sounds like it doesn't matter to a lot of people in our audience right now. That's half of the role of a captain in the NHL. Like, you talk after almost every game. Think about how often you would hear Ryan O'Reilly or Braden Shin after games. There's a reason for that.
They had to have a couple of, I think it was that year, the year of him being traded. If I remember the story correctly, he had come out because he had done every post-game presser, win or loss. Ryan O'Reilly. Okay. He had come out for one of the losses, and I think it was Shen or there were a couple of other players that basically looked at him and said, no, you're done. You've done too many of these. You need to stop having to answer for this. We need to answer for this. Because he was the guy that always went out there and talked to the media.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of it. It's local events. Hey, there's a community event that we're doing today out at a local children's hospital. You've got to be available for that. And listen, that sounds bad for me to say, you have to be there for this local charity event, but these guys are getting pulled in so many different directions, and their day job is to go play hockey, obviously, but that's the kind of stuff that you are asked to do when you are the captain that you're not necessarily required to do if you're not that, right? But you are now a figurehead for the team. You basically become the team's spokesperson in all of these different public areas. And what I have seen in the last few months is that Thomas seems more open to that now than he did previously. He was one of the very few guys that was at the Alexander Steen press conference. That felt noteworthy to me, that he was there along with Parayko. Which other guys were in attendance?
It was just those two.
Just those two? That's noteworthy, man.
Yeah.
I value that. I think the Blues value that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and they stuck around, and I know it seems like a lot to us, but they stuck around to do media availability. Yeah. They don't have to do that. Typically, guys duck out.
Thomas talked to me for like 30 minutes while I was stalling while you guys were talking to Steen. I don't think he enjoyed it.
Those are somebody said
he did it.
He did it.
Somebody said in the Air Comfort Service text line, like, what are the duties of a captain? Like, that's it. Being the voice of the team and being the guy. I remember in season after Shen was traded, Jim Montgomery, I think I asked him this question of, who delegates or who takes on some of that leadership role. And he said it's distributed, but Robert Thomas has been a guy that has really stepped up as a vocal piece in the room. And the 636 said, I can't shake this feeling there's for some reason that the Blues don't trust Thomas. I couldn't disagree more with that. Like, they trust him. Otherwise, they wouldn't have basically said he's not going anywhere. If they didn't trust Robert Thomas, they'd still be taking calls on trading Robert Thomas. The fact that they have stated, we're going this direction. JR's reporting is Steen has had the conversations with Thomas. Thomas has told Steen, I want to be a leader of this team moving forward. Like, they trust him in that sense. Now, trusting him to be a leader and trusting him to be 100% committed in every game and not have the slow starts, that's something that I'm sure they're looking at saying, we want to see what this looks like in the first couple of months. But that's not going to dictate their decision on him being a captain. I think Tebow nailed it. The precedent that Steen set in the press conference of, look, we want to usher in this new group, these guys that are tight, connected. You don't do that unless you've got somebody leading them. And that's why I can't fathom the idea that they say, we're going to go into this and we're going to make it an open audition to be a captain.
You know where I stand, or where I did stand previously. I wouldn't have traded Robert Thomas at the deadline, made that very clear. I also had said previously, like, hey, I think the guy that's more deserving of the captaincy, based upon what we've seen, was Jake Neighbors. Like, he at least to my eyes, looked, and I can't speak to what happened inside of the locker room. That's not our domain. But publicly, Jake Neighbors did more of the stuff that appeared to be like captaincy material.
Yeah.
I would say over the last few months, Thomas has done a lot more of that stuff. And so if they decided to go with Thomas, I would have always deferred to what they decide internally because they know more about the inner workings of the team and the organization. It would make a hell of a lot more sense to me now than it ever has before.
Yeah.
So if Thomas is your captain, I get it. I totally understand it. And I agree with you guys. I don't think they're going to go into the season without one. I just think that seems like if you are all in on Robert Thomas right now, and it appears that they are, go ahead and just give him the letter.
Yeah.
It's clearly something that matters to him. And as a team, it's not the end of the world to give him the captaincy. And I do think he's deserving of it. Even if not like the perfect player for it, I think he's deserving. And it would be very similar to when Petro was named captain after Backus walked.
Yeah.
Similar timeline, guy that a lot of people had questions about at the time. I think we have some revisionist history in this regard, but there were a lot of questions about Petro's leadership and how he would lead.
Everybody thought Steen should be the captain.
And he was more of a quiet guy who did things behind the scenes, wasn't calling guys out. He was very different in the way that he led compared to David Backus, who was the guy before him. And even when he was named captain, they didn't have, the utmost success. And there were some times in the Mike Yeo era where it was questioned about, do you pull the captaincy from Alex Pietrangelo? Ultimately, they didn't. They won the Stanley Cup with him as the captain, and it all worked out for everybody. But I think that's the direction this goes, more so than them waiting to name one. I understand the reporting from Strickland. I'm not questioning his reporting. I'm just saying, like, my guess right now, even if that's the way they're currently leaning, is eventually they get to a yes on Thomas as the captain.
And I think Jim Montgomery would prefer to have somebody who is the captain, the leader. Like, they've got a lot of leaders. Like, my guess is Parayko is still going to be wearing the A, probably Neighbors, but Holloway and Broberg are going to be guys that take over a large chunk of that locker room. Like, there's tons of guys that are going to be a part of that group, but I would say that there's a lot of value within this organization of somebody wearing the letter C and being in charge moving forward.
I will also say this. I think it is more likely that they have no captain than somebody other than Thomas is named the captain.
I agree with that statement.
I think if you're going to have a captain this year, it's Thomas. Otherwise, there is nobody.
Yeah. Otherwise, if they are considering somebody else, they're making an audition, and it's a challenge to Thomas saying, hey, somebody might get this, so we really need you to show up and prove that you're the captain of this team.
No doubt about it. All right, alongside Alex and T1, I'm BK, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. Questions and answers coming up next. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and get them in right now on the Air Comfort Service text line. T-Bone brought up during the break, hey, have you guys seen what Rainiel Rodriguez is doing right now at AA?
Dude, don't do this.
Sure have.
It's
do
ridiculous.
this.
Ridiculously good.
This is what Mo used to do, and look at where it got him, to the Angels.
Now, his numbers recently
Sounds nice.
are even better than the ones that I'm about to mention for you. But overall, at AA, as a 19-year-old so far this year, he's got an 817 OPS. He's doing so while hitting 275 and a 455 slug. He's had like 10 home runs in his last, 30 games.
He hit 2 last night, I think.
It's absurd. If you look up just players at the AA level with as good of an OPS at his age as what he's doing this year, there's 3 of them in the last decade.
Oh, give them to me.
One of these is going to be Albert Pujols.
Samuel Basallo with the Baltimore Orioles. He's at the big league level right now. He was one of their top prospects, and not only in their system, one of the top prospects in all of minor league baseball.
Also catcher, right?
I
think he is.
Check. I believe so.
I think he's the one that they're basically moving on from Rushman for.
250.
Oh, jeez.
Fernando Tatis Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
and Leo DeVries this year.
Oh, the kid
The number one prospect in
that
baseball.
San Diego traded for a closer?
Correct.
Damn. That Preller, man.
All right. So we all thinking what I'm thinking? Trade Rainiel Rodriguez? Best return you could get?
For a controllable closer?
Yeah.
Or give him 4x40.
It's insane. And what he's doing right now, I would assume, is part of why they're having a conversation
about Herrera.
What's our plan with Herrera? What's our plan with Burleson?
Yeah.
Long term.
And I don't blame him one bit, because that's a hell of an asset to dangle. And if you know that this guy's going to come up and be a very comparable bat to what those guys have provided, you should float them to see what you could get in return.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers from the 636. Guys who have been the 3 most exciting starting pitchers on the Cardinals to watch in the last decade. It feels like 2019 Flaherty and Dustin May have to be up there.
Michaelis's first year was pretty freaking exciting.
I don't know that
sexy,
he was fun, but it was
exciting
effective.
for how much you lacked pitching at the time.
I think people are going to underestimate how great it was to watch Carlos Martinez.
Dude, that's who I was going to bring up too. Those first couple of years.
He was genuinely special.
Is that when it was his dominant run?
Early on.
Yeah.
So I think people are going to underestimate that. Jack Flaherty, his season was ridiculous.
That was more than a decade ago.
Oh, is it more than a decade?
Yeah, I was about to say,
that was like 2013.
I hate this decade criteria.
Waino in 21 was special.
To say Waino's last year where he was good.
I think he had to put that one up there. I mean, 3 complete games, 206 in the third innings at the age of 39 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he did it while the rest of the rotation was cracking behind him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Without him, they had no chance. And ultimately, that was the foundation upon which they got to the playoffs with 17 straight wins. 2021 Waino would be up there for me.
He deserved that top 20 MVP finish.
Jack Flaherty 19 was number 1 on this list. I would go Carlos 2016 would be 2. And then I personally would probably lean more Waino than Michaelis just because of the familiarity, the importance of it, what he meant to this organization.
I think I would still put both ahead of Dustin May, though.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
Dustin May, I think, is a little lower on this list than we're leading on.
Mike Leake, right, guys? That was pretty fun.
Like Sonny Gray's first year, I would say, was better than what you saw this year out of Dustin May.
Was it?
Had a 3.80 ERA on the season, struck out 11 batters per 9 innings.
He looked like a number 1.
Yeah.
And he did it all season.
Man, I didn't realize he was that good.
They just kept pulling him because it was hot out.
Well, as we talked about earlier this week,
I don't blame him anymore.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. I hate paper straws. Did you say an 820 OPS? That's not that high. It is. And B, it's at AA at 19 years old. That's what's impressive about it.
Yeah.
Most 19-year-olds are playing at low A, maybe high A. He's doing this at AA against guys that are 22, 23, 24. Like right now, Liam Doyle is having his struggles at AA. He's 23. Mm-hmm. That's 4 years of development beyond what you're seeing right now from Rainiel Rodriguez. Always adjust for age. I think it's one of the things that gets underestimated most often. From Dirk Diggler's unit. Guys, like the interview with Bowden, why not at least try to make the playoffs this year? Nobody knows what next year or 2028 will bring. Why not try this year, Alex?
Because of the Diamondback series and the Angels series. That's why. bullpen is not strong enough to make it to the playoffs, your rotation a little bit in question, and your offense is completely gone dry. You can't fix all of that at a trade deadline to buy. You can't fill all of those voids without giving up any of your top prospects.
I think Heim said it best from earlier in the year. Avoid the sugar rush of the moment.
That's what dumb organizations do.
And be planning for the future. Now, if they were like truly in a playoff spot, I do think you should have bought. You should have traded away some of more of your mid-tier prospects to go out and make marginal upgrades. But I think even at this point now, like, I think they're 3 teams are ahead of them, 4 teams are ahead of them in the standings. So it's only 2 games back. You got some leapfrogging to do. You don't own the tiebreaker with Arizona. You don't own the tiebreaker with Miami. So your playoff odds are so low. And as much as I say, like, hey, mid-tier prospects, odds of them making the big leagues aren't very, very likely. Hang on to that ammo for right now, right? Yeah. So whenever you are good again, whether that's next year or in 2 years, maybe some of those mid-tier prospects that are in the lower levels of the minors or are slightly contributing at the big league level by that time, you can use those assets then to help you push. Don't waste them now while you're kind of not really in this race.
From the 314, Alex, if you could make one more trade this offseason for the Blues, what would it be, and who are you dealing in the trade?
I'd trade for Nikishin. This is the hard part because all of the rumors out there of like Neighbors is what it would take to get it done. I don't know if I buy that because Neighbors is going to be doing a contract extension, and I don't know if the Hurricanes are going to want to pay him his money. I think you're talking Lindstein, Stenberg, and maybe a first-round pick, and I would pull the trigger on that. I would go after Nikishin. That's where I feel like you lock in your defensive core for the long term, pay him $8 million for the next 6 years, and run with that defense moving forward.
I would do Marchenko from Columbus. That would be the one that I would want to do. I get the Nikishin one. There's still at least a spot to add on defense.
Still think you're paying a lot for Marchenko, though.
In terms of what? Capital or price?
The prospects.
Okay.
And price, too. I mean, you're paying probably 10 to 11 mil, but I'm fine with that. It's the prospect that you're going to have to give up.
I'm okay with that because I need I could use a 30-goal scorer on the wing. A guy that I'm guaranteed to do it, right? I'm like, right now, as much as we talk about, like, maybe McMichael could do that, or if some believe Booch could do that, or Snuggerud's a guy that could do that. Right now, it's all kind of more hope than it is what they've actually done. Marchenko's done it, man. That's a goal scorer, and the more I can have, the more the merrier. And they've got a hole in that top 6 on the wing. I know Booch is probably a guy that we talk about being there right now. Booch isn't a top 6 winger at this point in his career.
Yeah, I would do the same thing. What would you trade to get him? That's where it gets tough.
Yeah, I think you're talking Juracek and Neighbors.
Probably a first.
Yeah.
And that would be tough for me. I would prefer to go to the Mayu route, but yeah. I think I could probably get myself there to where I say, you know what? Let's go. Let's see what this looks like.
If I can get him long term.
I've got my top 6 filled out at that point.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the Neighbors front for Marchenko. I'd be more worried about the Juracek, but I mean, I said it when we talked about it before. I'd trade Juracek. I just got to know the guy's locking in long term.
Do you think they would take if you kind of flip that package, and what I mean by that is you go higher upside on the forward than on defense, so you go Carbonneau instead of Neighbors, and then it's Mayu instead of Juracek?
I don't think Carbonneau is the same value as Juracek.
Yeah, I don't know if Carbonneau's got the same higher upside than Juracek does. And at least what the report from Portsline was with Columbus is any moves that they make are trying to sell Zach Werenski on staying with the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Carbonneau doesn't do that.
Carbonneau doesn't do that.
Juracek might.
Juracek
he may be ready to go right now.
But it's also protection for Columbus if Werenski goes that, hey, we got a guy that's a future upside. Whereas you bring in Neighbors, it's selling on, look, we're losing offense in Marchenko, but we think Neighbors can play that style with us.
From the 314, guys, would you keep Dustin May if it guaranteed that you were going to make the playoffs this year? You get no other guarantees, but you guarantee you lock in the Cardinals will make the playoffs in the event that you keep Dustin May. I would, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean...
There's no way to actually make that deal, but yes, I would.
No other guarantees, meaning I can't guarantee myself to get a good return for Dustin May. I think I would take the guarantee of the playoffs.
I mean, no other guarantees in terms of, like, advancing in the playoffs.
I got you.
Yeah, like you could be there and be out in 3 games.
I just, as much as the playoffs, man, I think I would still dangle it to see what I could get for a player.
I would take the guarantee of playoffs because I think it's twofold. One, you can learn in the playoffs what you have with some of your younger guys. I do think that playoff experience matters for them until you just, like, odds are you're probably not going very far, but you at least give yourself a shot, right? And I think that's worth it.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. If you guys want to get involved in the show, the way to do so is the Air Comfort Service text line or the YouTube chat. The text line is 314-399-9646. The YouTube chat is available for you right now at youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. It's 11:56. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. In 15 minutes, we're playing the latest edition of Believe It or Not. But next, this is the kind of package that the Cardinals should be demanding if anybody wants to get in on the Ivan Herrera sweepstakes. I'll tell you what that is next here on BK and Ferrario. All right, Alex, I woke up, went over to The Athletic as I do most days, and I saw, all right, there's a new piece out. This one comes from Ken Rosenthal, breaking down what he's hearing ahead of the Major League Baseball trade deadline. Now, first of all, the picture associated with this is just John Mozeliak as an Angels general manager.
So you know we had to click on it.
I had cold chills as I saw that.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
They made a trade last night, by the way, and yeah, it has not been well received. So we'll get into that later on today.
He's back.
It's good to have the Mo era back, ladies and gentlemen.
One of the subsections in this piece, though, how badly do you want him? Now, I'm going to say a name in this piece, Alex, but every time I say this name, you just go ahead and insert Ivan Herrera for the player that I'm about to say, okay? Because it basically matches up one for one. Okay. But here we go. The staring contest between the teams and Rockies seeking a trade for Goodman is on. 3 AL East teams, including the Rays, Red Sox, and Yankees, are among those that have expressed various degrees of interest in Goodman, according to people directly briefed on the Rockies conversations. The Rockies, however, face no urgency to move on from Goodman, who's under club control for 3 additional seasons. So they're asking for a multiplayer package led by a team's #1 prospects. For anybody curious, that includes from the Rays, outfielder Theo Gillen, and from the Red Sox, shortstop Franklin Arias. With 4 days to go until the deadline, why not? It's the usual dance. The Rockies expect clubs to have interest in Goodman, and for that interest to only increase after their offers. The clubs interested in Goodman expect the Rockies to lower their price eventually, and for Colorado's long-term choices to develop. Sign him to an extension, trade him in a future window, or just ride it out. Goodman is only 26. He's not simply a Coors creation. He's tied for 3rd in the major leagues with 31 home runs, 18 of which have come on the road this year. While rival officials express concern about his defense, he is a rarity in this market in 2 different ways. 1, he's a right-handed hitter, and 2, he's a catcher.
This literally sounds like Ivan Herrera.
Yes, it's literally what I would describe as the Cardinals situation with Herrera.
Because I was going to stop you and say, like, is Hunter Goodman a better defensive player? And you just answered it.
There you go. There are questions about him defensively. If they're asking for a team's #1 prospect, and they're asking for that from the Rays and the Red Sox, both of them have pretty good systems.
I was going to say, we're talking like not just their #1, but a top 100 prospect.
Yeah, they're both like top
50.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. If that's the kind of return that we're talking about as the starting point, with both of these different packages, it says multiple players starting with your #1 prospect. I understand, and by the way, Franklin Arias on the MLB pipeline prospects list, #7 in all of Major League Baseball. Theo Gillen from the Rays, #9 overall in Major League Baseball. You're not just talking about good prospects. These are elite level prospects that would immediately come in and be your #1 prospect.
And you do those trades if it's available to you. Because
do you? I'm genuinely asking, do you do that if that's the headliner?
I would, because both of those players, now the shortstop, I would assume you'd look at that and say, well, we can move him to 3rd, or maybe you get real creative and say, we can flip Mason Wynn to go get something so that we put that into the spot. But the center fielder as well. There's 2 holes in your organization right now, not only with the bat, but it's 3rd base and it's center field. And with the exception of Jesus Baez, which I don't know how much you buy into that, of when he could get there, if he becomes a realistic bat for you at the major league level. And I know Ty Pete has been somebody that we've talked about, we've gotten excited about, but there's nothing wrong with having multiple outfielders. You're bringing in a top 10 prospect in all of Major League Baseball that has offense, that can play the positions that you're deficient in, and comes in as a bat that legit raises the ceiling of your roster. Now, I understand you're trading away a certainty for an uncertainty, but I feel like that's where you're at in a rebuild, because the certainty that you have is great, but is it somebody that you can win championships with, I guess is what you'd have to ask the question.
Text line or YouTube chat actually here says, guys, Goodman has 31 home runs. Herrera has 12. Another one from Big Illusion. Goodman will return more, way more. I'm not so sure about that. Yes, he is more of a power bat than Ivan Herrera. There's no way for me to say otherwise. But there are legitimate questions about his profile. He is a huge swing and miss player. He swings and misses 36% of the time. He strikes out 33% of the time. Those are both bottom 5 percentile in Major League Baseball. Also, there's a reason for it. He chases a ton. So he's chasing outside of the zone to get to that power. Right now, it's working for him. Will that work long term? It's a super risky profile, the likes of which a lot of times teams will say, we're not so sure. Also, yes, Ken Rosenthal is correct. This season, his homer power has translated on the road as well as it has at home. In his career, that has not been the case. In his career, he's a .230 hitter on the road that gets on base 28% of the time and has an OPS below 770. Now, translate that to Ivan Herrera, who's a big-time average player, gets on base at a really high clip, and has pop. Maybe it's not the same as Goodman. Again, I wouldn't argue otherwise. But he does bring some power, and he's playing at a ballpark that suppresses power. So it's almost like the opposite relationships here at their home ballparks, respectively, where Goodman is boosted by Coors, and you're seeing a suppression of Ivan Herrera's offense at Busch Stadium. So you would expect more elsewhere from Herrera, less elsewhere from Goodman. You ultimately meet somewhere in the middle. Yes, there's more power with Goodman. There's also a lot of other questions about him that Ivan Herrera does not have. And he's also a terrible base runner. So, like, the only value that he brings is the slug. That's it. I think you should be expecting a similar kind of a return, even if not quite to the same degree because of the power. So, if you're talking 3 prospects for Goodman that are headlined by this player, maybe it's 2 of those prospects for Herrera that are headlined by a similar kind of a player. Is this what you'd be looking for, though? Like, are you looking for the top-level prospects? Or are you looking for a guy that's at the major league level right now? If you're moving a player like an Ivan Herrera, what would you be targeting if you were in Chaim Bloom's shoes?
Mine's the top level prospect because it's closer to the major league level, and I think it matches up with the timeline that you're trying to go for.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's more control as well, right? I mean, that's what I would be targeting. And with Chaim, you hope that he evaluates it right. I mean, there's nothing yet to point to that says otherwise, that he isn't going to nail these returns. So I would say, yeah, the hope would be that you target someone in these systems. And the nice part about it is all these teams that are looking for this kind of help. I even throw the Yankees into this because they've been kind of connected to the catcher's market. Most of these prospects are probably about a year or 2 away. And then they can arrive along with Joshua Baez, who will be in like year 1 or 2 at that point.
Reno Rodriguez.
Rodriguez will be here at that point. So you've got that next wave of talent that's coming behind the Walkers and the Weatherholts to kind of help you get to that next contention window. So I would be going more for the prospect just because there's more control. And I would be targeting a position player probably. And the secondary pieces in that deal would be where I would target some pitching.
And we just talked yesterday about 2028 being the target date. All of these pitchers that you have in your pipeline are up at that point. The bats that T-Bone just mentioned, you add another guy into that plays center field or third base or even shortstop for you. Again, maybe you get real creative and Mason Wynn becomes a trade chip then, and you go after a starting pitcher on that front. There's ways to get real creative with it, and that's where, I think the Cardinals should be aggressive in.
The other guy that you could throw into this mix, because I know the Yankees have been discussed as a potential team that could trade for a catcher or a right-handed hitter at this year's deadline, George Lombard Jr. is their top prospect. He's a shortstop / third baseman. He's currently at the AAA level right now with the Yankees, and this year at AAA he's hitting .260 and has an OPS of .830. He's very close to the big league level.
.830, that's not a good OPS.
There's a pretty decent chance that he ends up making a debut sometime this year, either for the Yankees or elsewhere if he were to be dealt. So that's another guy that you could throw into this mix of, all right, if you do start getting a bidding war among teams, all of whom want a right-handed hitter that can play the catcher position, and you've got one of the only guys that's ultimately going to be dealt, and teams look more for an all-around hitter as opposed to just the pure slugger, Ivan Herrera could be the guy that they really land on as their top target. Lombard Jr. is another guy that could potentially be thrown into the mix. I don't know who the other teams are that would be in this conversation, but like Seattle, we've talked about them in the past. Hey, you interested in Laz Montez still, Alex?
Hell yeah. Herrera, though, I think I need a little bit more with that.
Sure. But maybe you get one of their pitchers and Laz Montez. Montez this year has been now called up to the AAA level. It's been a little touch and go there, only 17 games, but at AA, he had 25 home runs while he was down there in 79 games.
100%.
Oh,
wow. Yeah.
So the power's there. There is swing and miss questions in his profile. It's kind of similar to the Joshua Baez profile. I don't know if that's the kind of thing that I would be targeting because you already have Baez coming through your system and Walker has now emerged as a legit player.
Baez, Montez, and Walker. Good God, man.
There's also Michael Arroyo, who's their top prospect right now. He's more of an infielder, but he's having an excellent season. He hits for more average and has some pop. If you want to go this route of going with a prospect instead of a ready-made major leaguer, I do think there are going to be some possibilities out there, especially if you're looking for a position player from these other teams that are desperate to add major league hitting. I wonder, I don't know how this would work for them. I don't know where they would fit Ivan Herrera, but like if the Phillies decide we're super desperate, we've got to make this work. They've got a shortstop in Aiden Miller. They've got a right-handed pitcher in Gage Wood. Like there's a lot of teams out there, man, that are kind of teetering on that line of desperation. And when you get there, that's when you could get this kind of a move. When Mason Miller becomes available and A.J. Preller's out there desperate to get some success in the postseason, he makes a silly move where he trades the future number one prospect in Major League Baseball. Could you be that team? Could you be the team that this offseason or this deadline is able to take advantage of the lack of right-handed hitters that are available and you get something that is typically very unlikely to be traded at this time of the year?
Yeah, I wonder if there's that team that is desperate because, like, the National League, the Phillies are the one that I would point to, but I don't think Herrera fits them at all. I mean, they've got DH clogged with Schwarber, they've got Harper at first base, and I doubt they're putting.
I don't know how they
the
make it work.
So
yeah.
You would almost need an AL team to come out and be desperate. The problem
Unless
is
they believe Herrera could be an outfielder for them, which they've tried some pretty bad outfielders out there.
We've
so
heard
it's possible.
people say that before.
Dude, Nick Castellanos played in the outfield for them for good teams.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I wouldn't put anything past Dombrowski, so maybe they are the one.
The bat will play.
The tough part is I wish there was an AL team that was desperate. I just don't get the sense that there is because, like, Breslow, I don't think feels an urgency in his job just yet, and the Red Sox have gotten right back in it. The Yankees, Cashman's, like, locked to be there, and he can honestly just go, yeah, look, I lost Bellinger and Judge. Like, how was I supposed to win, and does it even make sense for us to add to them? And the Rays are never really desperate for anything.
By the way, don't completely overlook the fact that JT Realmuto is not having a great season for the Phillies either, and so you could maybe see some opportunities behind the plate for Ivan Herrera.
Ooh, trade for JT Realmuto.
I think he's a free agent after the year too, right?
So.
There you go. Take his contract.
I don't remember if he got a 1 or 2 year deal. They would. By the way, I don't think they would ever remove Realmuto from behind the plate. I know his offense is bad. He's roster. A very good defender still, I think, and very good at calling games.
And
so
Bryce got a 3 year deal. Never mind.
And Bryce Harper's not going to want his buddy to be traded away.
No, I don't think he's going anywhere. But I was just like, if they're looking for a place, I think you're more likely to see that than you would be to see him at first or DH. Or you've got Schwarber and Harper. Those guys are locked in every day. There's no question. You can't pull them from the lineup. They're too productive. JT Realmuto, I agree. I think it's unlikely. But during the regular season, that's a way that you could get Ivan Herrera's bat into the lineup. And then in the playoffs, you probably see him primarily in the outfield. I know that sounds crazy, but I think it's the only way you could make it work if you're the Phillies. And there's so few right-handed hitters, and they need one. They might have to do something crazy where they try something like Ivan Herrera in the outfield. You know? Like, I don't know how else you can make it work.
That's how you beat the Dodgers for a World Series. You get crazy.
Outscore them.
No, good luck.
No, you get crazy defensively. You're going to have to outscore
the Dodgers. Now, if that's going through that front office, boy, someone should step up and go, Dave, we've got a problem.
Also, outscore the Dodgers when they trade for Tarek Skubal.
Yeah,
go ahead, outscore
let's go try outscore Tarek
Shohei will be pitching back in the playoffs.
Him.
No.
So what's the plan?
Don't try. That's the plan.
My plan is every bit as good as your guys.
No. Cap.
No, see, I would say you got to bet on your pitching. That would be the way to do it. But,
none of these are high likely outcomes.
No.
Can't wait.
Last thing that I wanted to get to here, if the Cardinals decide to get creative, and maybe it includes Herrera, maybe it's somebody else, I don't know, but if they get creative and decide, you know what, we're going to try to add a core player to the team, a guy with multiple years of club control remaining beyond the 2026 season, and guys that I've seen at least mentioned out there that would fit into this criteria. It's possible you guys have seen somebody else, but just kind of throwing out names that would fit into the kind of thing that I'm talking about here. Pitchers would be Hunter Green, Reed Detmers, Jose Soriano, Joe Ryan, Emerson Hancock, Michael King, Michael Wacha. Those are guys that I've at least seen thrown out there that are not completely ridiculous to have a conversation about. Position player-wise, Jackson Holliday, Zach Neto, Adley Rutschman, Otto Lopez is a new name that's kind of been thrown out there from the Marlins as a shortstop, third base type. Jarren Duran, Matt Chapman. If you could add one of those guys, if you were in Chaim Bloom's shoes, you just, shoot your shot. Who would be the guy that you would be most interested in the Cardinals acquiring at this year's deadline, Alex?
Otto Lopez. And I'd have Jackson Holliday probably right there with him, but I like the upside of Otto Lopez of what he's done this year, and I think it fits the spot perfectly for you, whether it's third base or shortstop. So Otto Lopez would be mine.
I would say Jose Soriano from the Angels. I think he would be my number one target. Michael King's interesting. He's got player options, so he probably opts out. So he's basically a rental. Soriano's the one that I would call. I love the stuff that we saw from him when the Cardinals went up against some big right-hander. I think they need a righty with some stuff. I think the lefty spot will be Doyle when he gets here eventually. Same with Quinn Mathews. So I'm targeting a right-hander that's got control. I would go after him, and I would assume I can rip off Mo.
Why is Otto Lopez available?
That's
a good
the question
thing that I don't understand.
You do have to ask yourself that question, Brandon, but you know what? I like to be a risk taker.
Locally, we know this with Ivan Herrera. Why could he potentially be available? Well, there's two reasons. One, we're not sure about his future position. And two, there is some injury questions in his history, right? It's like you add those two things up. All right, I kind of get it. Also, you have another right-handed hitter, power bat, that's coming up in the outfield with Baez. You've got a guy at AA right now, and Rainiel Rodriguez. You've got players that kind of fit into what he's going to be. Why are you getting rid of Otto Lopez, a shortstop who's been good defensively this year, has been one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball this year, and just for good measure, is also an excellent base runner? I don't get that. That feels like the kind of guy that you extend for the next decade, not somebody that you would get rid of right now.
When was the last time we felt like we had a conversation of how well the Miami Marlins have been run as an organization?
The irony is, I think they're currently being run pretty well.
Well, I think we're getting our answer on maybe they're not.
I don't know. Maybe it's just as simple as, hey, right-handed hitter available in the market. There's nobody else that could be available this year.
That's true. Like, we're doing the same thing with Herrera, where it's like you probably get a bag in return for him, so you
maybe
trade
they're
him.
saying the Red Sox are willing to trade us their shortstop, right? The guy that we just brought up, we can get him for Otto Lopez, and we've got 7 years of club control. I guess. Would you trade Mason Wynn plus more for Otto Lopez?
What's more? You can't say plus prospects. You got to give me some details. No, are we talking guys in your top 5?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Like Tanner Franklin.
That one I'd probably do.
How much controls Lopez got again?
I think 3 more years.
See, I think it costs more than Franklin.
I was thinking Doyle.
I think it's probably going to be like Sancho.
Or Rodriguez or Baez.
Yeah,
and that's where I would probably say no.
Franklin's rated higher than Sancho on the Cardinals prospects list. That's why I brought him up.
I would probably do it, and I would just say, you know what, I'll figure out how we replace Franklin in the system moving forward.
I think you got a lot of pitchers in your system.
Yeah, and it could just be like, you know what, because we've got a lot of pitchers in the system, we could go sign a number 4 starter if we had to. I would do it because I'm not convinced when is your long-term answer at shortstop.
Well, and we had even Keith Law basically tell us with Tanner Franklin that it's like, hey, he might just be a really great bullpen piece.
Yeah.
Which, good to have. Obviously, we're learning that this season. But if I could get a controllable, well above league average hitter to play a position that is a hole for me, that's younger, because what is he, 27, 26?
Mm-hmm. He'd be a shortstop.
And then you're flipping Mason Wynn.
In this deal,
scenario, yeah. So
you still have a third base problem.
You can fix that. You got Jesus Baez.
We'll figure it out.
If you want to make it work with a position play, like if you're saying he's our third baseman long term, I think in that scenario, like Doyle plus more is what you're talking about for the Cardinals. And I don't think they're in that spot. I would go Jackson Holliday. Jackson Holliday would be my answer for what we just talked about, where I think he could potentially fix your problem at third base. Now, what are you sending in return? I don't know what they want. I don't know what they'd be looking for, and that's where it gets really tough.
That would be my guess.
That'd be my guess as well, and I'd be willing to part with quite a bit.
Liam Doyle?
My answer would be probably different than the Cardinals' answer. My answer would be possibly for this.
Wow.
Yeah,
their answer would be a definite no. I would be shocked if they even listen on Liam Doyle for anything. I think they view him as their future ace.
Yeah. I think my answer would be no on that, just because
I get it.
You don't have a future ace in your system, and you need one. Like, you're not going anywhere with your position players if you don't have an ace.
I totally get it.
Especially against the Brewers.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And you look back, we've talked about this in the past, if you don't have that 1-2 combination at the front end of your rotation, you're not a true contender.
Yeah.
It's been a tale as old as time. For as much as Major League Baseball is not valuing these starters the way that it once did, you get to the playoffs, you need to. And if you don't, you're done. It's game over.
And Jackson Holliday really hasn't shown that power at the major league level that I do think you're lacking for this team.
And I undersold Holiday because he's had a pretty good start to the year. I know he got started late because he broke the bone in his hand, that hamate bone.
That's
I don't know that he's going to develop into a superstar. I think he probably ends up being a really good, like, complementary player. And that's where, like, once you put Doyle in that conversation, and I get it. Look, I'm the first one to say prospects are prospects. But do I really want to give up what I think could be my future ace for a guy that could be like a really good number 5 hitter?
It's a totally fair point.
Probably not.
It's a totally fair point. I view him as having more upside than that.
I think if you do, I could get how you
I
get
think
that
he could be
point.
your 3-hole hitter long term. Wow. And if he could be your 3-hole hitter, I've got JJ 1 potentially, Rainiel Rodriguez 2, Jackson Holliday 3, Jordan Walker 4, and then let's say Alec Burleson is 5. Now you continue along with that with like Baez and Wynn and whatever else you have in center field, Ty Pete maybe long-term in center field. Now you're really building a position player core. My pitching stinks, and that's a legitimate problem that I've got to address, but I'll pay for that.
And
because
now you
now
sound
I've got,
like Baltimore.
But I'll pay for it because now I've got Jackson Holliday locked up for the next 6 years.
Yeah, but you'll pay for it, but will the Cardinals pay for it?
I think so, because they have nobody else really outside of Jordan Walker in the construction that I just mentioned that they've got to pay for.
And if you believe what
they're
they've
cost control.
Boy, you overpay for pitching, though, in the market that rarely pans out.
They were overpaying for Miles Michaelis.
Yeah.
They were overpaying for Lance Lynn. They were overpaying for Kyle Gibson. You add up those 3 salaries, it's $50+ million.
And if you think you're going to be an organization that just can't go to the market, like there's very few that have success with that. Like Milwaukee's one of the few that can do that. Look at the Mets. Stearns says, I'm not going to the market to pay for starters. Guess what he's doing at this year's deadline? He's selling because he didn't want to go out and pay for top-end starting pitching. I think at some point you're probably going to have to get there as an organization, and I'm okay with doing that. It's where BK's right. You can't be spending like $30 million or $40 million on like your 3, 4, and 5 in your rotation.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Believe it or not, coming up next.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so
free.
Flying away on a wing and a prayer.
Who could it be?
Believe it or not, it's just me.
What happened there, buddy?
I don't know. 314-399-9646. That's your comfort service text line for Believe It or Not.
Slowly backed away.
You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are believing it or not here on 101 ESPN.
T-Bone pulled a little bit of a Bradford there, too. The music was a little low in the air, T-Bone.
Oh, really?
I needed it louder.
It sounded good in my ears.
I thought it sounded good. I think it might be your headphones.
Yeah, might just be you.
Screw me,
It's a you
apparently.
problem.
Jeez.
Will you put in my bio, by the way, for my only profile that I'm on the band?
No, it just says Tanner Hendrickson. Literally, there's no other info. It's just
Not
Tanner
even a photo?
Hendrickson's from here. Yeah,
All
no,
right,
it's
guys,
a question mark.
Let's get into this. Believe it or not,
Shut
the
up, guys.
Cardinals will trade one of their controllable position players at the deadline.
I'm going to say not believe it. I think it's going to be an off-season move. I think as much as they want to with Herrera, one of these other catchers, or Nootbaar, I don't know if a deal comes to fruition, so I'll say not believe it.
I'll say believe it. I think they move Nootbaar at least. I think they're going to read the room and go, hey, don't know about what the offseason's going to hold. We're going to listen on Ivan because we may not be able to make that trade in the offseason, but we are definitely actively shopping Lars Nootbaar.
I think Newt goes. I think Pedro Paez goes. And I think between the two of them, that's multiple controllable bats. So, yeah, I say they will do this. I'll believe it. Alex?
Guys, believe it or not, the Cardinals will finish the season with a top 5 pick, potentially, in this upcoming draft.
I'll say
potentially
they win,
because of the lottery.
They win part of the lottery, and they end up picking in the top 5.
Oh, not finishing in that position.
Sure, I'll believe it. Why not? I'll root for us to have another top 5 pick.
All right, well, let me amend this. They finish with a record that puts them in the top 5 of the lottery.
Nah, I think that's too high. I think that top 5 feels pretty locked in. You've got Colorado, the Angels, the Athletics, KC, and the Mets. Those teams, it's kind of hard to get there, man. You are right now...
Unless you become the Athletics.
I know, but you're 8.5 games back of the 5th place team that I just mentioned there. That's a lot of ground to make up. If we were talking about 8.5 back of a playoff spot, we'd say they are overdone, no chance of it.
Yeah.
8.5 back in this matter is also difficult to be able to achieve. It requires like a 12-game losing streak.
Yeah.
Right. We are losers. We talked about that yesterday, right?
But the problem is these teams are also capable of that.
That's true. Guys, believe it or not, the Cardinals will acquire a prospect that will slot into their top 5 in the organization at this year's deadline.
I'll say not.
Yeah, the certainty of that is the hesitancy, because I think if they pull a trade off of Herrera or Nootbaar, I think they could get one.
My
just
guess
don't know.
is you will not get a prospect at this year's deadline that slots in above Durangelo Sanchez.
Oh, that's a failure of a trade deadline, man.
The reason I asked that question, one, I think it's possible not anybody in the top 10, and you put at 8 there. But 2, I wonder how people will react to that, because I do think when we get to deadline time, you start to hear some of these names that get floated about there, and people naturally start to think, man, maybe May goes for more than I'm thinking, or maybe this guy goes for more than I'm thinking. And then you end up just disappointed by the return when you see it's not a guy that ends up in your top 10 as an organization prospect.
To set expectations where I think is proper, I would not anticipate a top 100 prospects getting dealt to the Cardinals at the deadline.
I agree.
I think last year was only like 2 or 3 that got dealt in total. And one of those was A.J. Preller being crazy, man, and dealing a top 5 prospect for Mason Miller with like 5 years of club control.
Maybe he'll want somebody from the Cardinals and he'll get crazy.
I think the only way you see something like that is in the event that you trade Ivan Herrera. If you do that, then you should get one of these kinds of guys, unless you're getting a legit ready-made major leaguer like a Jackson Holiday that we talked about in the last segment. But yeah, I would say my anticipation is you will not get one of those guys.
Yeah, I think odds are most of the prospects you acquire are either A, not ranked because they're lottery tickets, even in your top 30 when they get here, or B, they're in like that 15 to 30 range. You know, maybe if you get a deep prospect pipeline, like if you trade, I don't know, let's say May to Tampa Bay, for example, and they've got a pretty deep system, maybe then you get a guy that surprises me and ends up in that 10 to 15 range, but most of the time it's 15 to 30.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for Believe It or Not. Guys, believe it or not, you guys have gotten so much better at singing the song for this segment.
This segment didn't go very well because BK backed away from it.
I would say I have improved. Today was not my best work.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I'd say we're close to being able to drop an album.
Yeah, I think before long they're going to copyright us on YouTube. We're so
Between this and End of the Road, that's at least 2 bangers right there that you'd be able to put on an album.
100%.
From the 314, guys, believe it or not, the Cardinals will at least trade away one prospect at this year's deadline. I'll say not. I don't think they will.
Yeah, unless they move Bernal. I'd say not.
Yeah,
I don't think they're moving Bernal. I think he's one of the. I think the 2 catchers that I feel most confident will be here after the deadline are Bernal and Rainiel Rodriguez.
Yeah, I don't think there's any point of trying to trade Bernal because nobody's going to want that to help win right now.
Yeah, I think they think he can actually be a good defensive catcher behind the plate with maybe a little bit of offense.
Oh, man, no side swipe at the other catchers.
I mean, I've watched the 3 guys on the roster now, and I'm not that impressed. I would say not believe it because I don't think they're going to. I think if you're trading a prospect, it's probably a buy move, and I don't think they're doing any buying.
Believe it or not, guys, from the 314, the Cardinals will turn it around and still make it to the playoffs this year.
I love the optimism that Cardinals fans have. I'll still say not believe it. With what they're going to potentially trade away, especially in the bullpen, I think you're going to see multiple, maybe 3 or 4 guys moved in that bullpen. It's hard to justify them being competitive when your bullpen's that torn down.
Agreed.
I say not believe it. I think I'm with you on the bullpen and their pitching in general, but this is the first year out of the last 2 sell-offs where I felt like they could maybe do more of what the Tigers did a couple years ago. Because think Quinn Mathews could come up here. Now, will he be better than May? I would bet against it, but it's possible. Joshua Baez could come up here and take Nootbaar's spot. And if he gets hot at the right time, holy cow, you're talking about a guy that could carry the lineup.
And he's got power that they severely lack right now.
Exactly. But where I stop myself is then I go, okay, but now what's that bullpen going to look like when we sell a bunch of these pieces? Because it ain't going to look pretty. And that's where it would fall apart.
Yeah, agreed. The other thing is, like, they could do what the Reds did last year, where you get in because nobody else played well, right? Yeah. They could go 500 the rest of the way. These other teams collapse, and you suddenly are in, and everybody's like, how the hell did the Cardinals get here? And then you get swept in a 3-game series.
Yeah, you just say to the Dodgers, or whoever, who would you run into, I guess, at this point? Probably the Braves. Atlanta, just take it easy on us.
Yeah, most likely the Braves or the Phillies, and the Braves are 6 games up. So, yeah, probably the Braves.
Yeah, just don't
take it easy on us.
Just don't kill us like the Cubs did the first 2 games of this series.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Covered Service text line. Couple more of these here on BK and Ferrario. Believe it or not, from Hot Dog Roberts, J.J. Weatherholt is the only current active position player on the big league roster who will be here in 5 years. I'll say not. I think at least Walker's here.
Yeah, I think Walker's going to be here.
Yeah, I would say not as well because I think they're going to try and lock up Walker in the offseason. That's the only other position player I would say that I would be willing to bet on.
I think there's a chance Wynn's here. I think there's a chance Herrera's here. Maybe Crooks if he figures it out.
Yeah, maybe.
Burleson is possible.
Yeah, Burley
I wouldn't bet on it, but it's possible.
I would bet more on Burley ahead of Herrera and Wynn.
I feel like it's an either-or with Burley or Herrera, most likely.
But I think because of, like, with Burley, you know at least a position, and I don't know if he'll ever win a Gold Glove at first base. He's really good defensively over there at first base. It's not going to be a huge contract. The tough part with Herrera, I just don't know where you're playing him if you don't put him at first base, because I don't think it's catcher, and maybe
left
you would
field,
try.
baby.
I mean, maybe you would try, but you got Baez coming. If they didn't have Joshua Baez, they would try. Oh, yeah, nah.
It's an offense that scores runs, not plays Gold Glove defense.
We could build like the Phillies.
Yeah,
it's led to
Padres.
0 World Series. 0 World Series.
Yeah, but they've gotten there.
314-399-9646 is your Covered Service text line to get involved in the show. This is interesting news from Jeff Jones. The Cardinals, Tebow, you could take that bet down. The Cardinals originally said Quinn Mathews would pitch today for Memphis. They are now listing Brant Thompson and Jared Schuster as their starters for the doubleheader. Mathews does not appear through Sunday. Marmol said he would update the rotation postgame. Congratulations.
Boy, Dustin is just getting the boot right out of St. Louis. He's not even going with the team. He's not even going with the team to Toronto. It's just, hey, why don't you hang back here?
It is interesting to me that
you pack up your apartment.
Okay, actually, let's get into this on the other side. It sure sounds as though the Cardinals are planning to add Quinn Mathews to the rotation sooner rather than later. I don't think he's the only person that's going to be added to this rotation sooner rather than later. I'll tell you about that next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals took down the Cubs yesterday 3-2 in extra innings. They try and earn a series split later on this afternoon. 1:15 will be first pitch. Javier Assad will get the start for Chicago. Andre Plante gets the start for St. Louis. We'll keep you updated on the Cardinals game throughout the day today here on 101 ESPN. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. So as we just mentioned, Jeff Jones tweeting out, the Cardinals originally said Quinn Mathews would pitch today for Memphis. They are now listing Brant Thompson and Jared Schuster as their starters for their doubleheader in Memphis. Mathews does not appear through Sunday. Ollie Marmol telling reporters that he would update the rotation in the post-game scrum. So that sure sounds as though they're planning to add Quinn Mathews to their rotation plans for next week. I don't know exactly how they're going to go about that, but I wonder if they're just tipping their hand and saying, hey, Dustin May is going to be pushed back to like the 4th. So that way we don't even plan on having him start until August 4th. And that's basically telling you they're trading Dustin May, but it's not guaranteeing it because he can then be ready for the next day in the event that he's not dealt for whatever reason. But that's my read into this situation. Did you guys read that differently than I did?
No, I mean, hearing that tells me that they're going to plan as if Dustin May is not here, and they're going to view this as, look, Quinn Mathews is going to be needed sooner rather than later, so we're going to switch this around so that we can get him up here with the big leagues at some point. The real question I have is, so does that mean there's going to be 2 moves in the rotation? Because Hunter Dobbins is one of those guys, too, that they're going to bring up.
That's what I was going to get to.
Oh, sorry.
No, totally. I think you're removing Liberatore from the rotation for Quinn Mathews, not Dustin May. I think the replacement for Dustin May is Hunter Dobbins. I think they're making 2 moves. I think Liberatore is going to the bullpen or traded, and I think Quinn Mathews will take that spot as the lefty in the rotation. Now, when does he start? I don't know. Could be as soon as tomorrow. It's entirely possible they're calling him up and he'll get the start against Toronto.
You push Leahy back a day.
And you push Leahy back a day, and then Liberatore is available in the bullpen starting on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I think that makes sense because I was trying to run through my head, if you just did Quinn Mathews right, well, then you kind of position yourself in a bad spot with Hunter Dobbins having to stay down there another 10 days. So I think you're right. It probably would be something along the lines of they select the contract of Quinn Mathews. Whether May gets dealt maybe later on this afternoon, I don't know. Maybe they've got a deal done, and Ollie knows that, and that's what he's hinting at there by saying, I'll tell you post-game scrum. So maybe that's what they're doing. But
and even if they don't, if you know he's going to – if you're the plan right now, the expectation is he's dealt on August 3rd, you could basically just say, hey, Hunter Dobbins is starting for us on the 4th.
Exactly.
We'll have it listed as Dustin May is the expected starter, but Dobbins probably will be around the team starting like Sunday. He'll be on that taxi squad or whatever, and then he gets that start on August 4th.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's no roster constraints that really hold them back here, so it makes a ton of sense. And I'm with you because I wouldn't think that they would want Mathews to go that long to wait to start him on August 4th.
Well, exactly. Look at how they use Bryce and Motts.
Yeah, that's why I think you would see them. They'd almost have to say, yeah, we're going to get him a start for tomorrow, probably in Toronto. He probably starts game 1. You start Leahy game 2, and then McGreevy's on his regular rest, and Liberatore's bumped to the pen. That makes all the sense in the world, and then you just call up Dobbins once you trade Dustin.
Because Quinn Mathews most recently started on the 24th. He had gone 5 days in between starts there. Tomorrow would be 6 days in between starts. So I would think, I agree with you, T-Bone. They're going to want him to start either tomorrow, I mean, honestly, today or tomorrow. And if they're not going to have him start today at either of these 2 spots, and he's not starting today here because Palante's already announced they start this game in 30 minutes, then he's quick.
Surprise.
My guess is he'll be your starter tomorrow in Toronto.
Yeah.
Is Quinn Mathews will get the call up and he'll be on the road in Toronto.
And then you'll see Dobbins brought up once May is traded at the deadline.
And my guess is the reason that they didn't want him starting against Chicago is because they're so damn good against lefties. And so they view this as a better opportunity for Quinn Mathews to have success in his first start as opposed to him doing so against a team that crushes left-handed pitching in Chicago. So they were able to see, all right, we've got Libby and Dobbins going up against the same lineup as Alex, you mentioned earlier this week, and Liberatore did not perform as well against that lineup. Yes, it's the left-handed thing, but it wasn't the first time that we've seen that. And Dobbins was better. So Dobbins, you earned that spot in the rotation. Quinn Mathews was always going to come up for either Libby or Dustin May, depending on who got that spot. And now Quinn Mathews has earned his spot in the rotation as well. So you get Quinn Mathews, most likely. This is our read on it. They have not announced this, but Quinn Mathews probably goes tomorrow. You push the rest of the rotation back a day. That would then have Dustin May set up for August 4th, which is the day after the trade deadline in New York. My guess is that will be listed, but you should anticipate Hunter Dobbins getting that start for the Cardinals. Yeah. Because he would then be able to come back in the event that Dustin May is traded.
I mean, I'm finally excited for Cardinals baseball for the first time in a while.
I can still be critical of how they handled this pitching over the last month, because I feel like they could have made moves that kept them alive in the playoff spot. But if this was the plan all along,
this part makes sense. Yeah. This is separate from any of the other moves that they've made previously.
This is the part that a rebuilding team makes, and it's the part that does pull you back into its season that might be lost because they're not fighting for a playoff spot. This is what pulls you back in, on top of them potentially bringing up Baez at some point.
Now, the one thing that is a little tough with the Dobbins part of this, he would go a full week between starts if you were to have him start on the 4th. I don't think that's a huge deal. I mean, he went 15 days between starts previously.
That's not ideal.
He can handle it.
And we've seen them do this with Bryson Motts at the AAA level, where it was a really long time between his starts as well. But do you guys have any issues with that, going a full week between starts for him?
No. As long as and they've managed the ability to keep these guys healthy, so I don't question that aspect of it, because they obviously know what they're doing in terms of keeping these guys healthy. So no, I mean, if they're fine with it, then I'm okay with it, because I've seen Hunter Dobbins.
And your bullpen, depending on how you use it prior to that start, you could even kind of go real cautionary with Hunter Dobbins. What I mean by that is, like, you could limit him to, like, I don't know, say 70 pitches, right? We just want to be cautious. He hasn't thrown in a week. He goes 70, hopefully eats like 4 or 5 innings, and then Liberatore just comes in right behind him and you do the piggyback, but you just reverse order it this time around.
The other piece of this that is noteworthy, and T-Bone, you mentioned this, if they have a trade already in place with May, they could just make that move earlier. And now Dobbins could start, like, Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because then you could call up Quinn tomorrow. You could call up Dobbins on Saturday, and then he's ready to go. Maybe they start him Sunday or something. So there's just fewer days between starts. But it all is based upon what the timeline is that they're expecting with Dustin May and how quickly they think they can get this done. Out of curiosity, who do you guys think goes down? If they don't have a move done with Dustin May, the easiest order of operations here is they've already got a Dustin May trade in place. He's gone today, and they call up Quinn Mathews tomorrow. Right? Like, that's the easiest, cleanest move roster-wise for them, is that they're able to do that. But in the event that they don't, who do you think from this bullpen goes down tomorrow?
I think they probably, I mean, they'd even have to make a 40-man move with Quinn if they can't get the trade done with May today. So they probably DFA Prieto would be my guess, or Tinkins, and then they send down Graceffo.
Do you think this just incentivizes them to get a deal done then?
Yeah.
Say, hey, give us your best offers. We're doing this in the next 24 hours.
Especially because they pulled them off yesterday. I think they probably have an idea of who wants Dustin May, and now it's a matter of calling the 2, 3, 4 teams that are interested and saying, give us your best offer because this needs to be done by tomorrow.
Kind of feels that way, right?
Yeah.
Which would make sense.
It feels like they've come down to a conclusion of like 1 or 2 packages, and they're deciding between them.
Because you know with Dustin May, this is not going to turn into a bidding war. There's not going to be 20 teams fighting for him. I know, sorry, sideswipe here, but like realistically, you know where he's at. You know if teams have already called and said, when you decide to do something, make sure you give us a call. You call those 3 teams, if that's what it is, and say, all right, look, we need to pull this off because we need to make our roster moves. What's your best offer? Because we're making a decision by tonight.
Somebody says, you guys really don't know how baseball operates.
Hell no. I'd like to manage against you.
Somebody else says the Strelski guy that they just Peter
Strulski.
Yeah, Peter. I'm gonna call him Pete.
Pete. I don't think he goes down.
I don't think he's gonna go down because I think he would have to get DFA'd.
And why would you do that?
I'll check, but I don't think he has options.
I don't know how his contract works because they signed him off the.
Yeah, he does not have options available. I don't think they want to lose him. I know that sounds crazy, but if they're going to make moves in the bullpen, you want that guy around.
Yeah.
So
well, you got Schuster who's back up for you just in case.
Yeah, I would not anticipate he's the one that goes down. I think they would be more likely to send down one of Swanson or Graceffo.
Yeah.
And option one of those guys and call him back up whenever you need to.
Yeah, when you trade another bullpen arm. Like if they trade, I don't know, Brule 2 days from now, they could just recall Graceffo then, or whoever it is. So I think that's what they do. We know what we're talking about.
You guys don't know baseball.
Know how the old transaction log works?
I'd like to manage against you.
You guys mentioned this. I think it was you, T-Bone, that you're excited about this?
Yeah.
The outlook for the rotation?
Now, because now
why wouldn't you be?
Yeah, because now I get to watch like an upside prospect that gets to come up here. Now, I don't know if he'll be bad or good.
Yeah, I was going to say after the first time you see him.
Can I ask you a follow-up on that?
Yeah.
Is that more about Dustin May not being a part of the rotation or Matthew Liberatore's spot not?
Oh, it's more about Liberatore not being
I was just making sure.
No, I don't. Like, I'm with you. I would be open to keeping May and putting the QO on him, so I would have no issue if I saw him pitch more. It's more of like, I feel like I am like tied to a chair having to watch Liberatore when he plays, and I'm like in the Odyssey screaming like, please make it stop.
Feel like
so. Yeah, and the other thing, like if you're gonna sell, like okay, let's start to see some of the kids that are ready, right? Like
I feel the same way about watching Pedro Paez behind the plate right now.
Exactly.
I'm good. Let me see Jimmy Crooks.
Exactly.
At least Jimmy Crooks is hitting the ball hard lately. The results have not always been there, but man, at least there's upside with it. I'm good on the Pedro Paez experience. It's not great defensively and offensively. It's been terrible this season. So the numbers aren't all that different between the two, but one of them's got upside. And he might be here longer term. Even against lefties, whatever, throw him out there. I would rather see Jimmy Crooks in those spots than Pedro Paez. Truly.
I'm with you.
Yeah. And he's like the only guy that has been called up as a young player that didn't get the runway that we all thought. It's been kind of weird the way they're handling Jimmy Crooks.
To be fair, he hadn't been productive, really.
Neither has Pedro Paez.
I know, but like at least with Crooks,
I'm being serious.
I get it. Look, I understand
Pedro
where you're
Paez
coming
is
from.
More opportunities lately than Jimmy Crooks, and I don't think that that's necessary.
I think that tells you where Ollie's at with Jimmy Crooks, and I think it's fair because watching Jimmy Crooks, he still looks outmatched. Now, you're right. He
Jimmy
does hit
Crooks
the ball
has
harder.
one start in the last 6 games.
It's probably why Pedro Paez is going to be traded.
Yeah.
He's taking the toy away like we did with Matheny. You can't use him anymore. He's not here.
Yeah.
Are you more trying to think of the best way to frame this? Are you more excited to see Quinn Mathews or more excited to not see Matthew Liberatore?
That's a tie for first, man. That's a tie for first. And I apologize on the side swipes, but I was just as excited to see McGreevy last year when Fetty was gone because it was like, what am I doing with this right now?
I would actually say I'm more excited to see Quinn Mathews than not see Matthew Liberatore. And the reason I say that is...
If it was Dobbins, are you more excited to see Dobbins or not see Liberatore?
Oh, that's Liberatore.
The answer is Liberatore.
This one's closer.
I think Quinn Mathews, I'm genuinely excited to see what this looks like.
Yeah, I am too because, I think he's probably going to walk the world while he's here. My guess on what his profile is going to look like in his upside case is he looks like Blake Snell, where he's just really good, strikes out guys, but he walks the world.
Buddy, I think you have way too many expectations right now.
I think that's his profile. I think he's going to walk the world. He's going to strike out guys.
You're sounding like me when I got pumped up about Logan Brown in preseason, all right?
Logan Brown had no upside.
You can't throw out Blake Snell right now.
Can I give you my... the intrusive thought.
Don't ruin this moment
after the Blake Snell Cup.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I was really excited about Luis Gastelum as well. Luis Gastelum is a guy who profiled as changeup first, right? That's his best pitch. And it was dominating at the AAA level. He had gone, I think it was 19 consecutive appearances without allowing a run. And we've seen a really good stretch here from Quinn Mathews as well at the AAA level. My reservation with Quinn is, A, I wonder how it goes against right-handed hitters, and that's going to require a lot of the changeup. And B, does it kind of feel similar to Gastelum, where you look at it, you're like, that's a little more hittable than I expected it to look like. And if it is, I want to say this at the front end of the getting out in front of it, I wouldn't be overly concerned. That's probably what it should look like for him getting his first opportunity at the big league level. So if it does look hittable and it's not great and there are too many walks and all that stuff, let's all agree right now to give it some time before we overreact to this is going to be an absolute failure of experience with.
I think T-Bone's going to overreact a little bit when he sees it.
No, the first 2 months of him being here, I'm not going to.
Okay.
Yeah, I might get frustrated when he's walking the world and not striking guys out.
As long as he's not throwing
he's
it
going
over.
to have a Blake Snell profile.
As long as he's not throwing over the middle of the plate like Liberatore is, I'll be fine.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be more walks are the thing that drag him out of games, less of the hits. That's what I meant more by the Blake Snell profile is
John Gant.
When he wasn't pitching well at AAA, it wasn't that guys were hitting him. It was he couldn't find the strike zone at all. I mean, you look at his numbers and be like opponents hitting 150, slugging. Oh, they're slugging 310. Man, this guy must be great. Oh, the on base is 420. How's that possible? It's because he's walking everybody. Yep. That's what I think is going to happen.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Junk Drawers next.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends over at Classic Air Care Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electricity, a company that has been making people comfortable since 1926, a company that is all about making sure that you feel comfortable with what they're providing to their HVAC system. And you're getting 5-star service with people that have been doing this for 30-plus years. You get incredible customer service on the phone when they get back to you within 24 hours to get you on the schedule when issues arise. That's because they've got 100 vans out on the road, which means they're going to get to you quicker than most companies that are working this time of the year with your HVAC system. But they also care about the community, and right now they have the Feel the Love program. And what this is, it's a opportunity for you to give deserving members of our community a brand new heating and cooling system at no cost. If you have a local hero, military veteran, teacher, first responder, or just someone who's always putting others first, then you can nominate them today to potentially get that heating and cooling system at no cost. Go over to ClassicAirCare.com. Make sure you share the love with someone who truly deserves it. It's Classic Air Care and ClassicAirCare.com.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Have you guys ever sold tickets on StubHub or SeatGeek or anything like that before?
I think the better question is if you ever sold any tickets.
Sure
there.
haven't. This is my first experience doing so.
You just robbed somebody blind of their tickets.
I was planning to go to Mumford & Sons in Kansas City this upcoming weekend.
Hell yeah.
I've got to go to New York for a funeral for one of my buddies. One of his family members passed, so I'm going up there this weekend instead. So I decided to sell these tickets, right? I thought it would be an easy process. It has not been quite as easy as I was anticipating. Apparently nobody wants to go to KC to watch Mumford & Sons. Who would have known?
Not a big Mumford & Son fans.
Really?
Yeah.
T-Bone, do you
Never
like
heard of them.
Really?
Never heard of them.
Really?
I've heard of them.
Nope.
I bet you would have.
Yeah,
you'd
you
be
know the
familiar with
songs.
probably 3 or 4 of their songs.
You know the songs, you just probably don't know. I feel like that's a concert you go to and everybody's walking around barefoot.
That fits a BK concert.
Yeah, probably smelling a lot of.
Yeah. And like
Mary Jane in the air.
a lot, maybe haven't showered in a few days. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like that. That maybe is a little too far.
I'm not. I'm just saying it's what I feel like. Okay, like it might not be true. I'm just saying it's what I feel like if you go to one.
Somebody on the text line, yo, I'll buy those tickets. Man, I've been tweeting these things out for a month.
Where have you been?
You
This
missed
is
your
on
chance.
you. Follow me on social media if you want your next
Yeah,
chance.
if you want your tickets, follow me.
The reason I bring this up is because I had thought for the last 2 weeks, I can't sell these things. Like, I can't find anybody to buy them. I've tried it on social media. I've tried it on multiple different ticket sites, and nobody is taking them. And then I just got a bite. I lowered the tickets like 20 minutes ago.
I wonder
Somebody,
why.
it looks like, purchased them. And I was like, all right, cool, I'm good to go. I get ready to go transfer them, and I realize they're not there. What happened? Why don't I have them in my account? Alex, apparently they had sold 2 weeks ago on a different ticketing site, and I never got the heads
So
up.
you told somebody that they got them, and now
I've got to now go in and say, I'm so sorry, I don't have the tickets anymore.
Oh man, if you were the person that did BK just stole the tickets out from right under you.
I didn't mean to. They thought they got a great deal. I lowered the prices to the point where, like,
What a jerk.
each ticket was worth twice what I sold them for on this.
You really
on
are a
this
jerk,
site.
man. How dare you?
Oh boy, what a day! What a time to be alive.
That's a tough one to
Yeah,
explain.
I think you're going to get bad reviews on
I'm
your
so
account.
incompetent at life, man.
Hey, amen, man.
Yeah.
Amen.
I got to be better. All right. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario
Be a
here on
great
101
dad pod
ESPN.
conversation of being incompetent in our lives.
There are so many different things that we could go
Are
to.
you incompetent in a lot of areas?
Yes, sir. Coming up next, are we going to see more challenge trades at this year's deadline because of the way that everybody seems to feel as though they are in the race? We'll talk about that next here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN.
Thought I was going to have to open that segment, man. I thought you'd be a little disengaged here. BK's out a lot of money right now because he's stealing tickets from people.
I'm such an idiot.
We got an idiot.
We got a dummy.
Turns out you have a penalty. If
How
you
much
can't
money,
deliver
man?
the tickets. Twice what you sold them for.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, which is understandable. The ticket sites, like you've got to be able to have the tickets that somebody purchases. I get it.
That would make sense.
This is on me. I'm not blaming anybody else. I'll blame the other ticketing site, though. I would have assumed that they would have alerted me that the tickets had been sold, and apparently they didn't.
Well, you know what happens when you assume things, T-Bone?
Yeah.
And make an ass out of you and me.
You can't
and I
say
sure
that on
did
air, man.
exactly that.
You can't say that.
Alex, let's get back to the Cardinals and really Major League Baseball overall. Are we going to see more challenge trades at this year's deadline because of the way that Major League Baseball's standings are right now? I think this is something that we've talked a little bit about. We mentioned this with Derek Gould earlier in the week as well. I mean, you look at what the Nationals and the Red Sox did earlier this week, where they trade two controllable Major League players, one a pitcher, another a position player, and they say, you know what, you need position players, we need pitchers, let's go ahead and make this deal. That's not a deal that you see very often, especially with guys that have multiple years of club control remaining. Sometimes you'll see what we saw last year with the Cardinals, where 2 years ago, I guess it would have been now, where Tommy Edman is dealt, and in return, they get Eric Fetty. But Edman was an expiring deal. Bader goes out to New York, and in return, they're able to get Jordan Montgomery, who has multiple years. But Bader wasn't a guy that fit into their future plans. Do you think this is a year where we will see fewer of the prospects that get moved and more of the major league ready talent that gets moved?
I feel like there's a strong chance for it because the uncertainty of this offseason sets up for that for a lot of teams, to where maybe they don't want to move away from their top prospects, and they view this as, well, hey, let's take a chance on a guy that's not having success where he's currently at and put him into our system and see if we can fix it, because then we're not giving up guys that we want to have here with the potential of us not having a season next year. And two, it gives us an opportunity to roll the dice on somebody. I do feel like, though, a lot of organizations that are in this position, you're either buying to win a World Series or you're selling pieces to get the best return possible. So how many like the Cardinals, to me, are a perfect team that should be in that challenge trades, to where it's like, hey, let's take a chance on this guy. One, we've got guys that you might want to take a chance on, like a Nolan Gorman, maybe Victor Scott pops up there, Jimmy Crooks, if that's where you're at. But on the flip side of that, if you're the Cardinals, like, yeah, you're not trying to win the World Series. You're not trying to start a full-blown rebuild where you're trading all of these guys for just lottery tickets. But we are trading some of these assets to see what we can get. How many teams are like the Cardinals right now in Major League Baseball? That I'm not so certain on.
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to see a ton of these. I think we talk about these, and there are one or two that pop up each deadline. Like you mentioned, the 22 deadline where the Cardinals kind of did one of these with Bader and Montgomery. Most part, teams don't typically do these. And I think you're starting to see more sellers start to emerge in this market. Like, when you look at the wild card picture, I mean, just think, over the last 24 hours, the Tigers have basically become a seller, to where they've kind of determined, you know what, we are out of this. We're going to sell some pieces. Baltimore, sounds like they've just decided, you know what, we are sellers, and we're going to be selling off some of our expiring contracts. I think as we get closer to the deadline, as we're now, 4 days away, I think more sellers have emerged, to where I don't think you're going to see as many challenge trades. If I had to guess, there's maybe one more challenge trade that we see. For the most part, though, I think it's going to be prospects going for Major League ready talent.
I think you'll see more of this year. I just don't think there's very many good players that are potentially available, and you've got so many teams that are incentivized to try to win right now. And I'm not just talking about like teams that are hopeful to make it to the playoffs. Imagine you're the general manager today of the Seattle Mariners. If you miss the playoffs this year and you don't do enough to upgrade this roster to really convince your fan base that you're trying and you're really pushing, I think there's a chance Jerry DiPoto gets fired because of that. If you're the Philadelphia Phillies, you're Dave Dombrowski, you've got this aging core, you've been trying, and you're basically 5 years in, 6 years in on this thing, and you don't give them the best chance possible after your franchise player in Bryce Harper just publicly called you out. You fired your manager earlier in the season. Like, you've done everything you can. your farm system is terrible. It's not really providing you a whole lot. If you're not able to really push this year, are you going to be around for more than another year or two? I don't know. And it's not just those teams. I don't know what's going to happen in the future with the Houston Astros. I don't know what the future holds in New York. These are teams that really better go for it. Breslow, buddy, you want to talk about a guy that's on the hot seat right now if this team isn't able to get it together? Breslow is definitely up there. Eventually, the Cubs have to start pushing. Like, all of these teams are incentivized right now to upgrade their major league rosters. And for some of the teams that I've mentioned, they don't have prospects to trade that could legitimately upgrade their roster. So I do wonder if you're going to see like major league ready players that are at the AAA level right now, or guys that are already on the roster that you're trading like for like a Ivan Herrera for major league version of Ivan Herrera, or Lars Nootbaar for major league pitching version of Lars Nootbaar. I think we're going to see more of that this year than what we've become accustomed to in years past.
Yeah, I just think some of these teams, like you mentioned, like the Cubs probably don't want to pull off from their major league roster to try and improve, right? You know, I think they would rather see if they can just figure a way to add a marginal upgrade than pull something from their major league roster and challenge themselves. And I don't think there's many GMs that are on the hot seat. You know, I think those are more headlines than they are actual news. Because look at, I mean, Ben Cherington has not been a good general manager for the Pittsburgh Pirates. That guy is still employed.
I think that's different. He wasn't expected to win.
Fair, but like I mean, the Cubs, for example, haven't done a whole lot with their GM for a while now. You know, I know they've gotten to the playoffs, but they haven't made any noise. I find that these POBO operations, these president of baseball operations, it's more about just keeping the budget balance sheet than it is about winning. I mean,
Philly's
DePoto,
not
I don't
there,
feel
though.
that way.
Philly's not. They don't have a
they're already
balanced
talking
budget
about
sheet.
they're already talking about extending Dombrowski. I don't think he's on the hot seat.
I disagree. I think that they're very much on the hot seat there. He has 1 year remaining on his deal. I think if this goes poorly the rest of the way, I think he gets fired at the end of the season.
Dombrowski was brought in to win World Series, and how many have they won?
0.
And if you get bounced in the first round of the playoffs and don't make sincere, especially when Bryce Harper, the face of your team, is calling for upgrades and
it's
help.
not the first time they've been in this kind of a war of words where last offseason, you remember, Dombrowski called out Harper.
Yeah.
And now Harper's calling out Dombrowski. Harper responded to that with his actions. He's been great this season for the Phillies. Is Dombrowski going to respond with actions to what Harper just said?
You've fired managers. You've done everything you can to try and win World Series as a general manager. But if you don't go out there and aggressively push and get bounced in the first round, doesn't matter if you're playing against the Dodgers or the Brewers. Like, if you don't make a push, the team will be our fans will be calling for it, and that is where you're measured on success.
Fans can call for it all they want. It's a matter of what does the owner want to do.
Owner wants World Series,
the moment
though.
you fire Dombrowski, you know what you are? You're rebuilding.
Not with those players on your roster.
I disagree with that.
Dombrowski's the guy for that roster, and I know he's had his issues with Harper. I think they are sticking with him. I think Seattle is sticking with DePoto. I mean, they've shown no sign willing to move on.
I disagree.
From them.
How do you say you're rebuilding if you're the
How often do we
Phillies?
see these guys get fired in these spots? Like, that's my thing. A lot of all you hear is teams say there's not enough guys. There's not enough.
I think you
quality
see
names
it
there.
when teams get to the end of the road here. Like, I think you are now. If Seattle is not able to win this year, they've been with DePoto for a while. They've gone through the roller coaster ride with him. It's been up and down. And this offseason, they made a big move to go out there and get Brendan Donovan. They made moves last year at the trade deadline to try to supplement their roster. And now it's time to do it again. And if you continuously are in the same cycle of being mediocre for the most part, man, eventually that comes back to haunt you. Especially when I think the thing that has changed, T-Bone, and the reason why I view this as different this year is expectations. Expectations change everything. The Mariners came into the season not expecting to get to the playoffs. They came into the season expecting to get to the World Series. And once you place that kind of pressure upon your organization and you've got a general manager who's known as super aggressive, if they can't get you there, it's time. Rubber meets the road. And Philly is one of those spots. Like, I think Dombrowski has as much pressure as anybody in Major League Baseball at this year's deadline. And it's because of his contract status, where he has 1 year remaining on term. It's because of the back and forth with Bryce Harper, your franchise player, who they're more invested in Bryce than they are in Dombrowski. And it's because of the contract statuses for them. Man, this team's going to get old, slow, and not as good very quickly. You've got 1 more year left under contract with Zach Wheeler. Bryce Harper is not getting any younger. At this point, he's 33? Mm-hmm. He's going to be 34 next year. There's no guarantees that he's going to be able to play like this for much longer. Trey Turner, 33 years old. Kyle Schwarber, 33 years old.
Your pitching's starting to get old, too, with
and
Wheeler
these guys
and
are under contract for 4 more seasons. If he can't get it done, I got to find somebody else who can now.
Yep.
Otherwise, we are
because you are heading into
for sure
a rebuild.
going to be in a rebuild.
Yeah. I think there's 2 general managers that are on the hot seat. I think it's Houston's, just because their owner has him on a 1-year deal, so he's definitely on the hot seat.
I think he's getting fired.
I think he is probably too. But I mean, they're in it, so like maybe something will happen. But they let a GM walk after winning a World Series, so yeah, he's probably gone. So I don't. That seat is hot, but I don't think anything's going to happen to it. And then the other one that I would point to is Sherrington and Pittsburgh, but honestly, I don't even know how hot that one is. Those are the only ones for me. I think Dombrowski's safe. I think DePoto is safe. I definitely think Baltimore's is safe, even though I think they should probably move on from him since he's literally not taking any steps forward. But the fact that they're selling tells me that ownership is approved of him selling. So I think there's only 2 GMs that are truly on the hot seat at this year's deadline, and it's just those 2 that I had mentioned.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. We can go 2 different routes. You guys tell me which one you'd prefer coming up in the next segment. 1, we can go NFL quick hitters, including a current franchise quarterback who sure sounds as though he's going to be playing for a different team next year. Or 2, in college football, it sure seems as though guys are going to be rewarded with a 5th year of eligibility. Which one of those conversations would you prefer to go with next?
I think we talk a little shaky-bakey.
That's who I was thinking.
NFL quick hitters is next. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, you've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Time for some NFL quick hitter. You guys see this Baker Mayfield stuff from earlier today?
Yeah, Bakey's a little angry.
Ooh, buddy. He wants to be paid, and the Bucs are unwilling to do so, is the moral of the story. And he was asked about his contract situation by the press at training camp earlier, and he basically said, I'm summarizing here, I feel disrespected a little bit.
That goes
I'm
well.
disappointed. He said, it's on them. I wanted to negotiate a new contract, an extension with the Buccaneers. I want to be here long term. I'm a franchise quarterback. Now it's on them, and it only gets more expensive by the day. It's the kind of thing you very rarely hear from a quarterback, Alex. It's also what you get with Baker Mayfield. This is what you sign up for, the good and the bad. He is going to view himself as one of the best in the league. And on the field, you can see that reflected in the way that he performs. He is a guy who is going to, at times, lose you games, but a lot of the time win you games just by his swagger and sheer will. What did you make of this? What was your biggest takeaway?
Well, not great for the Buccaneers when you get your basically face of the franchise saying how frustrated he is and disrespected. I mean, what I make of this is I feel like this is Baker basically saying, look, if you're not going to pay me, I want out. Because if I'm Baker Mayfield, I'm 31 years old. I have the ability to basically drag teams into the playoffs myself, as we saw him do 2 years ago. And I guess my question is, if I'm Baker Mayfield, is where's this team headed? Because if you're not going to pay me my money, I'm already seeing one of our best defensive players saying that he's not getting paid. You didn't pay Mike Evans, who is gone now. Where's this team headed? And if you're not going to give me the money that I feel like I deserve or make a team that can win a Super Bowl if you're paying me less, why should I stay here? And so on both fronts, I can understand where Baker's coming from to being look, I'm not going to waste years of my prime staying here where this team's going nowhere. And if I'm the Buccaneers, I guess I ask my question, if we sign Baker Mayfield to this big contract, what's our ceiling? Because we just saw a team not make the playoffs, and they're just getting older. Do we really want to give this guy all of the money and us barely be a wild card team? So I could see both fronts of this.
Yeah, I get it. If he's asking for a ton of money, I wouldn't be thrilled about paying that either. And the other thing is, if he's asking for a ton of money right now, hey, man, have another great year. We'll give it to you.
Yeah.
He said just a little bit ago, he's addressed the team. He says that it will not be a distraction. Quote, if you've waited this long to pay your franchise quarterback, it's only going to get worse. I'm going to go have a huge year. That's the thing. If you're the team, go prove it. But go show us what you can do.
But also, if I'm a team, you had a huge year, but you're also 32 years old. I really want to give you that big a contract.
I think at quarterback, you can make it.
I think it's one position that I'm willing to pay.
The style he plays, though?
Yeah, but he's not like Jackson Dart running around out there.
No, but I mean, he does take a brunt of the abuse when he's moving around.
It is interesting. I view it that way, too. How many games do you think he's missed over the last 3 years?
It's very few.
Yeah, I think it's
less than 5?
0.
Yeah.
He has not missed a game since signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The guy's always available.
But how long does that last if I'm the team and he's 32 years old?
I don't know. And last year you saw there were diminishing returns. He was very clearly not 100% last year.
Mm-hmm.
You could see it, and I haven't watched the Netflix documentary yet, the quarterback series, but I think they showed just how banged up he was over the course of the season. It was real. I think he's really good. I think he's a top 15 to 20 quarterback, and I don't say that to diminish Baker. There's just a lot of really good quarterbacks in the league right now. I would pay him. But if you're the team and you have some of these questions about his health, about his longevity, any of these, I understand waiting because it's getting very expensive. And just to be candid, we're seeing guys worse than Baker Mayfield get further in the playoffs right now. So I don't think it's the same as it was as recently as 3, 4, 5 years ago, where you have to pay your quarterback. You're now seeing some teams play the market, go get a guy like a Daniel Jones or a Sam Darnold, and you can make it work nowadays, as long as you have the supporting cast that's necessary. And if we're being honest, the Bucs might be entering a rebuild sooner rather than later.
What I was going to say.
Kind of why I wonder if Tampa's just we're not going to pay you, man, because this isn't going anywhere.
They're a roster teetering on that to where, you look at them and, even when they've made the playoffs, aren't they 9-8 or 8-9 when they get in? So it's not like they're even that good of a football team when they get to the playoffs. So that's why that's my read on the situation is I think Tampa Bay's looking at this going, yeah, we might be ready to kind of start to send pieces away. And if that's the case, like you play this year out with Baker, you don't pay him. If you want, you could franchise tag him, then maybe try and trade him in the offseason. Or you just kind of wipe your hands clean, right? Let him go to the market, and you just enter into your rebuild and see if you can find your next quarterback later on in this year's draft.
The other thing that I wanted to get to here, speaking of quarterbacks, earlier today, Ben Solak had a piece over on ESPN.com. 4 NFL quarterbacks heading into year 2 and what they need to do in order to improve. Those quarterbacks were Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Shuck, and Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to set Cam Ward to the side. I think he's very clearly, tell me if you guys disagree with this, I think he's very clearly the best of those 4. Do you guys disagree?
No, I don't disagree.
Out of Dart, Shuck, and Sanders, who do you think is going to have the best year this year?
I'd say Dart. Because of the coach, and I think the team has the ability to be more, it has better pieces around than the other 2.
I think Shuck.
I think Shuck because I think he's going to be healthy. I like Dart. I don't know if he's going to be able to stay healthy, and that's the big thing for me. He likes to run. What's he look like if you take that out of his game, right? And is he going to be willing to slide to avoid getting injured? Because you can run as a quarterback in the NFL. I mean, Lamar's made a good career doing that. He's also learned to do a better job protecting himself. So if he can do that, then maybe I'd buy into him. But right now, like, Shuck's not great, but can he be fine? Can he be a top 20-ish quarterback? I think he could be.
Did you guys see any of the pictures, by the way, yesterday from Jalen Hurts or Caleb Williams?
No.
They both look slim. And not in a bad way. Like, I think Jalen Hurts, like, bulked up almost a little too much over the last couple of years, where he lost some of that natural wiggle that he had previously. He looks awesome. And Caleb Williams said, he came out yesterday, nobody asked him about it, but he's like, I lost like 15, 20 pounds in the offseason. And
Caleb, don't mean to brag.
Weird flex. He looks more svelte as well.
What is that word?
Svelte?
No, that's...
And I do wonder if that's going to allow him to be more like what we saw from him in college,
man,
where he's more mobile and he's able to
ripped.
go a little bit more even on the run than what it was previously.
So if he gets more svelte, this guy's just going to be feeling like felt out there.
What are your expectations? Let's go with Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams this year 3.
I mean, I'm expecting him to be a playoff team. I'm expecting them to take a step forward. I think the weapons around him and the mind of the coach is going to help Caleb Williams. My concern with Caleb Williams is the dumb decisions that he makes under duress. There's times he looks incredible. There's times he makes Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson decisions that it's like, where are you going with this one? I have more concerns over Jalen Hurts because the team, I don't know how effective he's going to be if it's less running and more of Saquon and throwing the football, and I don't trust the head coach.
Yeah, I think for Caleb, I think it's a lot of like what it was last year. I think avoid the slow start now that you're year 2 in that offense, because if I remember correctly, he got off to a bit of a weird start.
Yeah, I was out on him early on.
Yeah, win the division, win a playoff game. I mean, I think that's the standard, right? I'm not going to read off numbers. I don't know that those matter for a quarterback position. It's more about winning, right? And I think that's
more
what's
than
going to be
4,000 yards, though.
Yeah.
He's going to get to more than 4,000 yards. He'll be the first Bears quarterback to do that. I think that's in play. I think he's going to have a monster season there, man. I think he's going to have a
MVP
really good
conversation. Year. Would you take him as a long shot to win MVP?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I don't know what the odds are, but now that you say that.
Let's take a look. NFL MVP odds for the 2026 campaign. Any guesses on the current favorite to win the MVP? It's quarterback. You'll never believe it.
Josh Allen.
Is it Lamar?
It's Josh Allen.
Oh, okay.
Lamar is number 2.
All right. I figured he'd be high
plus
on that
650 for Josh Allen. Lamar at plus 850. There are 2 players tied for 3rd. Can you name them?
2 players. Stafford.
That's one of them.
Who would be tied with Stafford? Is it Caleb?
No.
Is it a quarterback?
Caleb is at 15-1. Man, all these guys are quarterbacks.
They are? Okay.
The first non-quarterback listed is
it Puka or
Myles Garrett at 100-1.
Is it Burrow?
It's Burrow.
Yeah.
Burrow's tied with Matt Stafford. I think he's going to have a monster year as well.
Which quarterback's
is everybody going to have a monster year in your eyes, man?
Lamar.
Well, I mean, I could. Although he always is good in the regular season.
Justin Herbert at 10-1. I think that's a sucker bet. Drake May at 10-1. That's a decent one. Patrick Mahomes at 13-1.
That's a sucker bet.
I would not bet on that. Would not do it. I think he's going to have less attempts this year than he has at any point in his NFL
Maybe
career.
He'll run more.
Dak at 14-1 is really interesting. I do not think they're going to have a great defense this season. and he's got some awesome weapons. He puts up big numbers. If he's able to stay healthy and they put together a better than expected season, I think there's some real potential for a Dak here. But Caleb, I think, is going to have a ton of runway. 15-1, yeah, I would go ahead and take those odds. I like the odds.
Would you do Caleb over Dak?
Given the odds, they're basically the same. I think I would probably rather go with Dak.
I think I'd go Caleb.
I think I would go Dak just because I think Chicago may run the ball a little bit more, too. And I agree with what you're saying about the weapons with Dak. Now, you have a fair point of him staying healthy, but I would choose Dak because I know how much that Ben Johnson loves to run the football.
Yeah, I think that's probably as low as I would go, though, for MVP odds. Because guys below him are like Purdy, Trevor, Daniels, Jordan Love, Jalen, Darnold, Baker, Jared Goff, and these guys, I don't think there's any chance. I'll give you one if you really want to get. These are two that are in the same spot.
You really want to get svelte with it?
No, you want to get frisky. Kyler Murray and C.J. Stroud at 50-1.
Just stop with the Kyler Murray nonsense.
You want to talk about weapons? He's got them.
You want to talk about Baker's
you want
next
to talk
home.
about you want to talk about a quarterback that's not motivated. He's got it.
In what world is he not motivated?
Call of
There's
Duty,
a new
man.
COD out.
He just got cut by his team that
Sure.
has known him.
Sure, and has that
He's
changed him
playing for
before?
money, dude. He had never played for money before. Now he's
I-
playing for real money.
I'm out
Where
on
if he has
Kyler.
a good season
He's
this
also
year,
got real money already.
I don't know, man. I think Kyler's going to have a very good year this year for the Minnesota Vikings.
This is a Green Bay Packers hype right here.
And I think the 50-1 odds I would be in on.
I think
That's
Kyler
interesting
Murray is
me.
going to look terrible in the first 3 weeks, and people are going to be like, okay, that was fun.
Oh, yeah. And then J.J. McCarthy's going to come in and light it up.
No, I think it's going to be, well, this team is screwed. That's what I
Throwing
think
it to the
mindset's gonna be.
opposition left and right. Oh, that'll be great.
You
Can't
don't
wait.
have to prove to me. I think Kyler's going to look eerily similar to J.J. McCarthy.
Those guys are not similar in any way.
What, throwing it to the opposition? Yeah, they kind of are.
I
Kyler
think Kyler
Murray
looked
for
a
his
little
entire
better.
career has been so much better than anything we've seen at any point from J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy last year had 11 touchdowns and 12 interceptions over the course of 10 games.
I like your excitement on Kyler Murray, man.
I understand. If you don't think that Kyler Murray is a winner, there is every reason to believe that. Kyler Murray has produced at the NFL level in a way that J.J. McCarthy very much has not. Kyler has 120 touchdowns and 60 interceptions in his career. He's done that in 85 games. J.J. McCarthy had more interceptions than touchdowns last year.
He's a rookie. He's a rookie.
As a rookie, Kyler Murray on a really bad team threw 20 touchdowns and 12 picks.
And he had to deal with a coach dragging him through the mud an awful lot.
And true, Kyler Murray's dealt with some terrible coaching. Kyler has run for
And one of them
500.
your OC.
Who?
Oh no, he's not. Never mind. I was thinking.
I was like, what are you talking about?
I was thinking. What's his name? The
Cliff?
Kings. Yeah, I was thinking he was there in Kansas City.
Kyler's also run for 500 plus yards 3 or 4 different times in his NFL career.
Hey, man.
Not close.
I love the
Not
excitement
close.
for it, but the last, 5 years of Kyler Murray has been
And I'm right.
brutal.
I'm in the middle of you guys.
The first
here.
3 years of Kyler was a lot of fun. The last, 5 has been awful.
Awful is overstating it.
I don't know if
It's
it
been
is.
uneven.
Look, man, you and these words that you're using right now, I like how you're trying to one-up educating me, but I don't trust it. It's not svelte for me.
I get it. I understand that it's not exciting.
This
but
is, again,
I
the
think
Jordan Love hype.
somebody said, who does he have at wide receiver?
Come on, guys. That one we don't have to. Maybe there was sarcasm in that message.
They legitimately go 4 deep at wide receiver. They've got Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and Jawan Jennings this year. Don't forget they signed Jawan Jennings in free agency.
And if their tight end can stay
TJ
healthy.
Hawkinson.
Oh, Hawkinson. Okay.
As
I
well.
thought you were talking about an actual wide
He's
receiver.
only really
Jones,
available for 5 games.
Jordan Mason. This offense has the potential to be very good this year.
Only they had a quarterback.
Good.
Only they had a quarterback.
They do.
J.J. McCarthy.
JJ.
There's no chance you believe in J.J. McCarthy.
No,
I know you better
not.
than that. You hate J.J. McCarthy.
I do despise J.
The Vikings are going to be my Packers this year, by the way.
Believe me, we just spent 5 minutes on Kyler Murray. We know. And the Packers, you're not going to be out on the Packers either. The first time Jordan Love does something big, it's going to be like,
No.
my Packers are back.
Dude, this is going to be a rebuild year for the Packers.
Oh, God.
I'm
Wasn't it a
serious.
rebuild year 2 years ago for the Packers?
I mean, you look at their defense. It's not good.
They got Micah Parsons, man.
Not for the first 6 weeks. He's probably going on PUP because his knee exploded last year.
PUP?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play for like 2 months.
He'll be back with a vengeance.
And then you look at their offense; they lost a decent amount, and they've got a decent number of guys coming back from injury. I don't know what the situation is with Josh Jacobs, but that ain't great either. So yeah, I'm not feeling good about the Packers heading into this season at all. I've replaced them. I've adopted the Vikings.
What's your love with the NFC North?
I don't know.
We got to find somebody.
Yeah, all right. They could be outside of the North.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll hit the rewind. But
good.
Next, it's time, Alex.
What?
For our Major League Baseball trade deadline. Roundup! Here on BK and Ferrario.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. Cardinals beat the Cubs yesterday 3-2. They're trying to earn the series split as they're in action right now. 0-0 as they head to the bottom of the second. We'll keep you updated on the Cardinals score throughout the day today here on 101 ESPN. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
Oh, what a time to be alive. If you guys want to get involved in the show, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. We've got the YouTube chat at youtube.com/101ESPNSTL. It is time for a Major League Baseball trade deadline roundup here on BK and Ferrario.
No yeehaw there. You got one at the start.
That's fair. Guys, people are really upset about John Mozeliak's trade from yesterday. I mean, really upset.
Why, man?
About
What
it.
did he do?
So he traded Logan O'Hoppe and a reliever, like a fine reliever. And in return, he got a guy that Baseball America didn't have in their top 30 prospects, not for all of Major League Baseball, for the Rangers. This is what Baseball America's editor-in-chief had to say about the deal and the prospects that the Angels got in return. Again, for a solid reliever and Logan O'Hoppe. Quote, sometimes when a trade happens, you check with your sources to make sure you didn't miss something on a guy who should have been ranked. We've checked. This does not appear to be one of those times. Over at The Athletic, they did their trade grades.
Oh, it's got to be an F.
The title is The Rangers Got Something for, well, not much. The Rangers got an A-. The Angels got a D+.
Damn. I saw the quote from Mo on the player. Let me see if I can do this in my best Mo voice here. Well, in our system, he's probably in the top 10 in prospects. I know he wasn't getting a lot of third-party recognition in the process, but I do think he's a better player than he's getting mentioned for.
It's pretty good. Also, Mo, how bad is your prospect system then?
Bad. He's going to fix that, obviously, with his assets at this year's deadline.
Got robbed.
Also, getting a 19-year-old shortstop for a reliever and a controllable catcher, even if you hate O'Hoppe, not a great signal that you're not rebuilding, considering they've been stating publicly, Mo has, yeah, this team doesn't need to rebuild. Then why did you trade for a 19-year-old shortstop who needs years of development prior to getting to the big league level?
Well, the good news is the only guy
disconnected on
your roster that keeps you competitive doesn't want to leave the Angels.
Yeah,
so
touche.
At least your franchise icon says, I'll just be here until it's over.
All right, other piece of news. This comes from The Athletic. The Marlins are willing to listen on potential offers for some of their intriguing young players, such as middle infielders Otto Lopez and Xavier Edwards, catcher Liam Hicks, or outfielder, I am not going to pronounce this correctly, I apologize, Heriberto Hernandez.
I think it's Heriberto.
Heriberto, sure.
But
great.
Close enough.
Do you have any interest in any of those three players, Alex? Lopez, Edwards, Hicks, or Hernandez?
Lopez would be the main one that I'd have interest in. I don't think you need to go after a catcher, and I don't know much about Hernandez, but it doesn't feel like he's the solution to
big
your
power, big swing and miss is basically the profile.
So Joshua Baez, but older.
Correct.
I would much rather just go with Otto Lopez and try and place him in a position of need, which would be third base. Now, I don't know if he'd interest in that. Maybe he just wants to stick at shortstop, but that would be the one that I'm most interested in. But like you guys said earlier, my question comes, why are you trying to trade him? Because I'm not giving you a haul if I want him, and that's where it gets tough.
Yeah, I've got interest in Lopez. I just don't know what the package is that makes it work because I don't want to give up some of my top prospects for him, but I would call to see what Miami's looking for, right?
You're not getting him without a big-time trade, though.
I think Mason Wynn you can put in the return, and then you talk about some of your pitchers. What I mean is, like, I'm not putting Doyle in this, right? Like, I would listen on Tanner Franklin to put him in this package if they've got interest. If they wanted one of the catchers, whatever, right? I would call them and see about it because I'm not convinced Mason Wynn's your answer at shortstop. I think they should be, especially if this is going to be a deadline, a potential kind of shortstop roulette as we talked about yesterday. They should be exploring those markets.
Lopez is the only guy that I would have interest in, and I would have a lot of interest in him. But I don't think it's realistic for the Cardinals. So it's one of those where, like, you look at it, you give a call, they say, hey, we're interested in X, Y, and Z. You probably say, okay, thanks for your time, and you move on. But I think you at least make the call, see what they're looking for. Cubs, according to Patrick Mooney, who's the beat writer for the Chicago Cubs over at The Athletic, says that they are looking for starting pitching at the deadline, and that search does include one Tarik Skubal. Would you be willing to go pay the price of what it's going to take for Tarik Skubal if you were in the Cubs' shoes this year, Alex?
No, because I don't think that fixes my problems. I think the Cubs just have deeper issues than going out there and getting one ace. That being said, they are in a position to look at it and say, hey, we got a hell of a team right now. We're getting healthier. Might as well go after it. The real question would be, can you lock him up long term? Can you re-sign him after that? The Cubs can, by the way.
I don't think they will re-sign him because they don't typically hand out that big of a contract, but I don't know that matters in Chicago's chance. They must believe that they're one piece away. I don't think they are. I think their pitching is still very weak. I think they probably need more of, like, getting 2 guys that are available at this year's deadline to improve it. Now, I can get how they get themselves there, because if you believe in the upside of Edward Cabrera, who's been out and is going on a rehab assignment, you put Skubal in front of him, and then you've got Boyd and Imanaga to wrap up the back end of that rotation. That's not a bad rotation for how good their offense is.
Yeah.
But I don't trust your bullpen still, and I still think I would not bet on Cabrera or Imanaga to pitch well in the postseason.
They're a team that really needs bullpen help a lot. I mean, we saw that yesterday against the Cardinals. I would also add this. I think one of Reed Detmers or Jose Soriano makes more sense for them.
Agreed.
Than going out and trading what it's going to take to get Tarek Skubal. Out of curiosity, where do you guys think that Tarek Skubal ends up?
Dodgers.
We all agree, right?
Yeah, I think he's going to the Dodgers. I think they're going to use Tani's got a bad knee. I guess we could use a starter right now. We've got all this
uncertainty
prospects.
With Glass now. You're not sure what's going on.
I'm rooting for it.
Like it's.
I'd like to see Ken Rosenthal's article when that trade goes down.
Dude, they're gonna get they're gonna go get Tarek Skubal. They're gonna trade for I don't know who's another. They're gonna go get Riley O'Brien,
Nelson Velasquez.
Sure, it's gonna be so annoying. If you're one of these other teams and you see, let's say Skubal gets traded this weekend, because apparently they're going to try to do it soon so that way they can get all the medicals out of the way. If it's to the Dodgers and you're one of these other teams, do you just throw up your hands and say, we'll try it next year? Mm-hmm. If you're Milwaukee, what do you do?
Nothing.
Hey, you got a Skubal, we got a Reed Detmers. What? You got a Hulk, we got a Ant-Man? I don't know. What are we doing here?
No, I mean,
like Ant-Man. Good movie, but let's be real.
Finish the job, you know?
Hey, spoiler.
No, it's been out long enough, man.
Yeah,
we're into the new era of muscle.
I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. It just seems.
I think you upgrade on the margins and go, please somebody else knock them out because we don't stand a chance.
Yeah, the Brewers are just like, we'll stay in pat, but just somebody beat them.
Yeah, we've got a 2 seed. You're the 1. That's fine.
We won't see you till
we're on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah, watch the Brewers be like, look at this bullpen we acquired. And I just go, yeah, look at Snell that we're bringing out of the bullpen.
Or Shohei.
Yeah.
A couple more things here. So I'm going to read you the list of the top 10 players available on this year's trade market, according to The Athletic. This is their latest big board, okay? You guys just give me a yes or a no on if this player you believe will be traded. Tarek Skubal.
Yes.
Yes.
CJ Abrams.
No.
Zach Neto.
Yes.
I'll say yes.
Okay. I think no. Mason Miller.
No.
No.
Joe Ryan.
No.
No.
Hunter Goodman, catcher for the Rockies that we talked about earlier.
No.
I agree. Jackson Holiday.
No.
No.
Agreed. Jose Soriano.
Yes.
Yes.
I think you're the Angels after we've learned about their top 10 system. They got to get something.
Reed Detmers.
I'll say yes. I wonder. I do think Mo might make all 3 moves.
Yeah. I think he sells
if not
one
2
of them.
the 3.
Yeah, I think he sells one of Soriano or Detmers. I don't think he ends up trading both. Adley Rutschman.
No.
No.
We got to 5 or 6 out of the top 10, and I think that might be aggressive. I think it might be closer to 3 or 4 of those. I think the top of this market is extremely weak.
Yeah, the one that will determine is the Angels.
Yeah.
Because if we are right and they trade 2 or 3 of those names, now we're talking about a deadline.
Yeah.
If you are right and they trade 1 or 0, whew.
I think the Marlins also hold a lot of cards at this year's trade deadline too, because they've got Otto Lopez, Xavier Edwards, Sandy Alcantara. All 3 of those guys are in the top 15. Liam Hicks they have in the top 20 on this board. If they decide to go full-blown seller at this year's deadline, they've got legit assets to be able to offer. Meanwhile, for those curious, the Cardinals, their assets come in at number 30 with Lars Nootbaar, 33 with Dustin May, and then a little further than I expected to be down, Riley O'Brien at number 47.
Woohoo! 3 in the top 50.
Woo! Where's Brule?
Yeah.
Not on
Where's
here.
Pies?
Bad list.
Not on here. Out of curiosity, I want to look at where does O'Brien rank among relievers? Guys in front of him include Mason Miller. I don't think he's getting dealt. Adrian Morjon. I don't think he's going to go either.
Is that Padres?
Mm-hmm.
Is he got control or is he a rental?
I think he has control.
Because they've got a reliever that's a rental that they're going to move, I think.
Oh, no, this is it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think he's gone.
You do?
I think he gets dealt.
Especially if you're keeping
Luke
Mason
Weaver,
Miller.
I think he will be traded.
Will be dealt.
And then Riley O'Brien, next one up. I think there's one, maybe 2 guys that are above him. So that feels a little better than the 42nd overall ranking.
Yeah.
Sure
Not bad.
does.
Not bad. Now tell me how many right-handed starters are ahead of me, and then I'll feel better about that ranking.
Ooh, don't do that.
He might be one.
They don't have him ranked as righties or lefties, so I'd have to go through.
Soriano's a
but
righty, I know.
Yeah, I think it's like 4 or 5 that are in
All
front of
right,
him.
woohoo!
All right, coming up next, we'll let the rewind put a bow on this thing before we get to the Redbird Report. That's all coming up here on BK and Ferrario. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. If you guys missed anything from today's show, check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
I think there's moves coming for the Cardinals, Alex.
We just told Ryder that nothing's happening tonight, man.
I don't think it will happen.
What side is it?
I don't think it will necessarily happen today, but I think you're going to see some moves coming.
I hope it happens after the Redbird report comes out.
Oh, I would be so disappointed.
Just like Kyrie was traded after Donnie
I think it's extremely likely.
Yeah.
We're in the third inning of this game, and our podcast we recorded coming up in 2 hours. Or excuse me, in an hour.
I'm recording in 3.
They're not going to be done with this game by the time that we record the podcast. So
Like
I would be very surprised if it comes out Dustin May is traded in the middle of this game.
Well, I hope it does, man, because nothing's better than a podcast going down and then being like, oh, let's re-record.
The reason I say it's likely to come soon is because Jeff Jones tweeted out a little bit ago. Cardinals originally said Quinn Mathews would pitch today for Memphis. That is no longer the case. They are now listing Brant Thompson and Jared Schuster as their starters for the doubleheader. Matthews does not appear on their schedule through Sunday. Ollie Marmol told the media he will update the Cardinals rotation post-game. That sure sounds as though, much like when they said, hey, Dobbins is going down, but just to make everybody aware, he can come back up the moment that there's a trade. Okay, that's breadcrumb number 1. Breadcrumb number 2 is this. Hey, Quinn Mathews isn't starting today for AAA. We'll tell you about the rotation soon. Okay, so Quinn Mathews probably starting tomorrow. Breadcrumb number 3, Dustin May left after 5 innings, scoreless, 70 pitches last night of the game. And then he got a bunch of hugs from his teammates. I think a trade's coming with Dustin May sooner rather than later, Alex. I think you will probably see, this is my guess, this is not reporting, Quinn Mathews start tomorrow or Saturday in Toronto, most likely tomorrow. And I think you will see Matthew Liberatore not make his scheduled start on Saturday, and he will be available out of the bullpen as Hunter Dobbins then takes the Dustin May spot in the rotation early next week.
Yeah, I think all of those breadcrumbs lay it out perfectly. And we talked about this earlier. Here's my tinfoil. I think Chaim's already got multiple teams that have said, we are interested in Dustin May. And now I think it's just a matter of, okay, look, we need to make these moves. So call the teams, give us your best offer because we're ready to pull the trigger on this Dustin May. Because you're not playing them again. You're going on the road before the trade deadline. This is probably one of those things to get Dustin May where he needs to be and not deal with the craziness of the trade deadline day, and also get Quinn Mathews and Hunter Dobbins in the rotation so you can have it set and ready to go.
Yeah, only way that you don't see probably Dobbins at this point, I would say, is if they don't trade May. And the three things that BK said were them telling you.
That's a T-bone three I can get on board with.
The only thing that we didn't have was like a wink when he said that.
Yeah. Oh, it's coming.
I think he's going to be traded. And now, is it going to happen today? I don't know. It would make the roster decisions a lot easier to try and figure out how they're going to call up.
My guess is it happens before 5 o'clock tomorrow.
That would make sense. You know, I think they've probably, like you said, I think they've probably got one or two offers that they're discussing. They maybe try and get a little bit more out of one of them, and then they just pull the trigger on it by
Chaim hates us, so probably 2:01 tomorrow.
Yeah. It's also possible they wait until Saturday, and they say, you know what, it's not a huge deal that Quinn Mathews ends up having 24 hours with the roster in Toronto before making his official start on Saturday, and that's when he would just fill in 1-for-1 with Libby, and then they could have Libby as a, piggyback situation with Quinn Mathews as well, where you've got Mathews as a starter, Liberatore comes in, throws 3 innings after him, and it potentially helps out with the bullpen as well. So it's possible they've got 48 hours to make this move. But I would say at some point prior to Saturday, you're going to make this move.
Yeah.
Because you've got to have the ability to make the moves sooner rather than later. And you'd prefer not to have to lose somebody from your 40-man roster because it took longer. Because if you don't make the move with May, you've got to DFA somebody. And if you just waited to do the May thing, you could not DFA that person, so you could keep them on the roster.
Yeah, and I also think there's something to get one task off of the board before trade deadline day when everybody's calling about your bullpen arms, maybe some controllable assets. You get one thing off the to-do list so that you can focus on some of the other returns.
Totally. Yeah, and then you could start looking more at your controllable players.
Yeah, Ferraro,
you've got the
next catchers
3-4 days to just look at them. Yeah. Right, and now you've got the quote unquote easy move. Everybody knows what the price is for Dustin May. The other guys, it's a little harder. You've got to dig deeper into these systems. You've got to decide, okay, what exactly are we targeting? What positions do we want? How do all of these potential moves fit together with the puzzle pieces? There's just a lot of that stuff. The Dustin May could very easily be a 1-for-1 with another team where you say, hey, here's the top prospects that we're looking for. We're going to go ahead and take him. Here's Dustin May for your next 2 months. Yeah. God bless. Good luck. We wish you guys nothing but the best. Before we get out of here,
end the trade.
I mean, I would imagine both sides are very happy with the way that this agreement went.
I think May will be thrilled if he gets traded. 1, he goes to a potential contender. 2, no QO for him in the offseason.
And get the most money possible on the return.
It's worked great. And the Cardinals say, all right, we got the prospects that we always wanted. Yep. We spent $12 million to buy a prospect at the trade
And the crazy part is if no team is going to give Dustin May the money that he wants and the market's not there, re-signs with the Cardinals.
That's the other thing that I keep saying, hey, you could just bring him back next year on the qualifying offer. It's entirely possible they just bring him back on a $20 million contract for next year, and he says, screw it, let's do this again. You know?
We need you to be better because we're trying to get a better prospect next year.
All right. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Cardinals up 1-0 in the middle of the third inning right now. We'll break that thing down for you in its entirety tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll have some kind of trade to react to as well. Either way, though, we'll have Brad Thompson and our guy Mike McKenna as we do each and every Friday. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane is next here on 101 ESPN.